You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you tri freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we go long on endurance, pull back the covers, and find out what really makes you tick. And also, we learn a little bit of Zen along the way. All right, today's episode is pretty special. I have gathered over the past week the top 40 tips of how to hack your triathlon training and racing to make yourself have a better training day, easier training day, all the little things, an easier race day too, all the little things that I've learned over, let's see how many years, almost 15 years of doing triathlons and gathered into a big list. And I've broken the list down into swimming, biking, and running, and then other. I think we'll probably start with biking first because it's the most gadget intensive and we can have the most gains there. Biking and then running and then swimming and then other. And before we get into the list, I should mention my experience so that you know these are real tips and I'm not just some guy from the street talking about something that I don't know about, talking out my butt. I am a 15-time Ironman finisher, and most of them are self-supported. And I've done Ironman Texas, Ironman Wisconsin, Ironman Canada and Whistler and all that good stuff. And I've done a whole bunch of half Ironmans, many of them very hard. But a lot of my Ironmans are, self-supported, which is its own challenges. And I've also done a self-supported Ultraman, which is about 2.5 times an Ironman over 3 days. So it's kind of like a stage race. The last day is a double marathon. And I've run a whole bunch of ultra marathon trail races. So a whole bunch of 50 milers and even a 100 miler. And also swimming background as I grew up on swim teams. And then also swim across Lake Tahoe, which is 22 miles, which is 1 mile further than the English Channel. It was probably a little bit easier than the English Channel. It was kind of smooth that day, but it's at 6,000 something, 6,500 feet elevation, and I was coming from sea level, and I have asthma. So that was a bit of a challenge. And I've also swam the Alcatraz Strait as part of the Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon. I've swam 2.4 miles, all butterfly in open water with a wetsuit on, which is a sleeved wetsuit, which is very difficult to get your arms up over your head. And I've done various ridiculous things on bicycles, such as I rode the MS 150, which is from Houston to Austin on a single speed. And there's an option for the hilly route, and I took the hilly route. And so I've been doing this for a long time, and my tips are hopefully useful to you. Before I crash myself into a endurance grave, I want to go ahead and pass on these for everybody to use as you please. Before we get into the tips, I also wanted to do just a tad bit of really cool triathlon news. Let's cue up the music. Here we go. All right, first thing is Ultraman Hawaii is going on. That is 10K swim, open water, and then it kind of varies, something like a 70-mile bike ride right after the swim, and that's day one. And it's net uphill. You ride up a volcano. And then day 2 started today. And that, it's actually a little bit cold in the morning. Everybody's bundled up on the pictures online and the videos. And that circumnavigates the island, the big island. And it is how many miles? 170. Yeah, day one is actually a 90-mile bike ride. 10K swim, 90-mile bike ride. Day two is 170-something mile bike ride. That is where you kind of get launched into space. That's where you finally have to give up. As of this recording, as of this moment, tomorrow is the double marathon run. That's when people finally destroy themselves. And I was trying to think of the quote, Ultraman is where vegans yell at their significant others. That's the quote that made Starkey famous on Twitter. Okay, anyway, we had Bahrain 70.3, and one of my favorite triathletes, Angela Nath, got fourth, and Holly Lawrence won and beat Danielle Reef, which is interesting, and I don't know which one of the men won, except Frodeno, I heard, did the relay. Because I think, remember on the Kona, he had a back injury or a hip injury or something like that, and it had him walking on the run. And I think he's still kind of babying that injury. And that's where the scene is right now. And as the show goes on, I will have more news updates. I'll jump in and give a few more tips here and there about what's going on in the triathlon world. Oh, the other big thing is I'm on the verge of joining a new gym, a Gold's Gym, which if you're not familiar with them here in the United States, it's just a big weightlifting gym. Opened up less than a mile from my house. And before I got into triathlon, I was big into weightlifting because when I went off to Marine Corps military school, it's kind of like prison, and we lifted weights a lot. And I found that that's what made me stand out as a swimmer. And so I fell in love with it because it made me a really good swimmer. And then as I got burned out on swimming in college, I just stuck with weightlifting. I got big, but also got a little fat. And I had to end up burning that off by getting back into triathlon and actually surfing first. But I loved the weightlifting part. And as I've gotten more and more into triathlon, it's been because triathlon takes up so much volume of your time, and there's not. I don't live close to a weightlifting facility. I've let my weightlifting go, and weightlifting is huge in triathlon for injury prevention. And there's is this a pre-tip? A pre-tip is that you should strengthen your major muscle groups. What happens is as you get tired, let's say you're running, cycling and then running uses your quads, right? And your hamstrings and your glutes and your calves. But that's really pretty much, in general, it. Let's go with that for conversation's sake. These big muscles. And what happens is when those big muscles fatigue, that's when your form falls apart. And then you start relying on these other little surrounding muscles to kind of hold you together. And that's when you see people's form start getting all wobbly and stuff, and they slow down big time. So if you go to the gym and work your big muscles, the big muscles you use in swimming, biking, and running. So you're talking for swimming, your lats, your shoulders, your biceps and triceps, and your forearms, for example. I'm going to give you an exercise here in a minute as the tips. You will delay your fatigue big time. And what you'll notice is, let's say you never work a muscle, like you never work your quads, which is the front of your upper thigh. Of your upper leg, your thigh, the front of your thigh. You go to the gym and do that for the first time ever. Even though you're an awesome cyclist and an awesome runner, you're going to be so sore. And only let's say you do a quad machine, and let's say you can do 90 pounds 8 times, 10 times, 12 times, whatever it is, and the first time. Well, after about 2-3 weeks of going to the gym on a regular basis, you're going to be up, a quick set of gains because of you haven't been doing it. 130 pounds, 140 pounds. I mean, you can almost double what you're doing coming from scratch, even though you've been cycling and running. And just imagine that in that major muscle, you're almost twice as strong than what you were before. And that's the big secret that a lot of people don't know about in endurance is imagine you did the quad, the hamstring, the calves, your shoulders, your lats, and your biceps and triceps. And forearm helps with the swim grip in the water, like your hands like paddles. Imagine you did that, and then you're basically twice as strong as you were before. And then when you're out, the end of the swim, you're not tired. Like your swim form stays the same. And then on the bike, you don't get tired. You don't get pains, and you don't get cramps because cramps is muscle overuse. And then on the run, the same thing. And then especially on the run, on the bike, you don't have to sit up. And then on the run, you don't have to walk, and you don't have to run the Ironman shuffle, which is this miserable experience that all of us have had, where you can't run anymore because you're just so beat up. Well, imagine that that's all gone because you did these big muscle groups, right? Well, that's what happens if you go lift weights and you do the big muscle groups because you've toughened yourself up big time. When I did a 50-mile trail run one time, after adopting a weight routine and doing lots more leg work, I remember my legs didn't get, usually my legs would start getting kind of beat up feeling, 20-something miles in. And then I remember my legs didn't feel anything until like 40 miles in. Yeah, it's like double, right? And then like the last few miles, I was like, oh. But imagine that. And so then I ended up having a PR, PB, whatever you want to call it, and ended up running a whole lot better, smarter, and having a great time. And then that's the whole thing. You want to have a great time out there, and you can because you're weightlifting. Okay, so that's the tip. But me going and lifting weights has been a logistic nightmare because the closest weight room is quite I live in a smaller town, 100,000 people, and there's not facilities everywhere for all kinds of stuff. And so I had to drive a little bit. And then once you have to drive a little bit, then you're just like, man, I don't have time for that, right? And that's coming from somebody that loves lifting weights and, identifies as a former, at least, pseudo weightlifter. I was into it. I liked it. And the cool thing is I went and got a free pass for the day, and they have a pool, people. And it's just a 2-lane pool. It's it's a beautiful pool, but it's not going to be ideal, but whatever. I'm super stoked that there's a gym. I'm probably going to join it. Emily's going to join it. Kai's turned 13. He can join too. And then we can go have father-son time and lift weights together. I can teach him how to actually lift weights. I'm super stoked about that. And because it is so close, it is 1 mile by car. It's 3/4 mile if I walk because there's a cut through. And it's on my way to work, on my way home. It's next to the grocery store. So I did this little experiment where I went and I swam. And then after I swam, I lifted weights, which was awesome, right? And then after that, I went to the grocery store, got groceries, and turned around and went home. I did all those things with, I think 7 minutes of driving total. And I'm big on that. I'm super excited. So we're going to hear more about weightlifting in future episodes, how to do it, what to do, and how to have fun doing it. Okay. Now that's enough about my life. Let's talk about your life and the tips that can make big changes for you. Okay. We are hacking in, let's see, the bike. Okay. First tip on the bike is Whenever you get the opportunity to get new water bottles for your bike, any kind of bottle, an Aero bottle, between the Aero Bars bottle, all these kinds of bottles, always opt for clear bottles, or at least bottles that are semi-transparent. And the reason why is if your bottle's opaque, that means you can't see into it, you don't know how much you've drank and you don't know how much you have left. So as you're sailing through aid stations, you don't know to grab a new bottle. You're kind of doing things by feel, which takes extra time. You got to get out of aero position to kind of pull a bottle out and feel it. Do I need it anymore? And the next best thing, my son got a bottle from the USAT Youth Nationals Triathlon this summer. And it was blue, but it's got a clear stripe that's about 1 centimeter wide down one side. And that way you can see how much is left, and then you still have a colored bottle. Okay, if you live where it's warm, get light colored bottles, white bottles with the stripe, the transparent side down the side. But in any case, get clear bottles. Oh, and yeah, you can see whether the stuff's mixed up or not properly. You don't know what you got unless you can measure it. And when you're out there in the heat and doing hours at a time, you need to know how much you've got, because that changes your decision making, knowing how much you have left. And it's those little decisions that make or break, usually ruin races, okay? And good training days. All right, next one is you've got sunglasses or eyeglasses that keep sliding off your face, right? Or you just want to make sure they're more secure. Years ago, I had a pair of Croakies. So Croakies is this neoprene strap that slides over the earpieces. And then you have this strap that's hanging off the back of your head, right? Well, that little strap hanging off the back of your head, like your helmet gets, it gets in the way of your helmet, all kinds of stuff. It's dopey looking. You don't want that. Take a pair of scissors, and after you put your Croakies on your sunglasses to hold them in place, cut the neoprene at the tip of the end of the sunglasses. You will end up with these neoprene, I don't know what you want to call them, jackets over your earpieces that are just long enough. You can make them pretty short, and they will keep your sunglasses, eyeglasses in place so they quit sliding down your face. It is awesome. It's awesome. And Croakies come in all different kinds of colors. Just get them to match your glasses. You will barely notice them. Nobody else will notice them. I've worn them for years. Nobody says anything. And they really work. And yeah, you're cutting up some Croakies. Big deal, man. It makes all the difference in the world. And you can just leave them on your sunglasses all the time. And so whenever you pop your sunglasses on, they already have them. Then you can quit having stuff running down your face. And the other thing is Sugru. So there's this packets of silicone. I'm doing this with my hands so you can hear them. There's these packets of silicone with shapeable Sugru, moldable silicone in them. And after you press it in the shape and you let it air dry for a few hours, it hardens into rubbery material. And I have had Sugru, and it comes in colors. I just got the black because my eyeglasses are black. I have put Sugru on just like those Croakies. But this, you can press it. It's like Play-Doh, but you can make it real thin and then put it on your glasses over the earpieces and leave it, and then it stays there forever. So I have rubberized the tips of my eyeglasses, and they never slide off my face. And after 5 years, one side finally came undone and broke apart, the silicone, and I bought a new one and a new packet and put it on there just the other day. It was super easy to do. It's actually kind of fun. It's kind of artsy, like you're playing with Play-Doh or clay or something like that. And no one has ever said anything about it. It just blends in with your glasses. It is really, really cool. All right, another one, tip 3 on the bike, is plastic grocery sacks to keep your feet warm in an emergency. let's say you live somewhere where it's warm, like I do in Texas, and it's rarely cold enough where you actually need to cover your feet, and you haven't invested in foot covers yet, or let's say you've traveled somewhere and you forgot your foot covers, or it's just a surprise. Take plastic grocery sacks or plastic newspaper bags, put them over your feet like socks. This is after you put your socks on, by the way, I guess. Yeah, I would put them after my socks. I always do it after my socks are on. And then or you're at a race, right? This is another good example. Put your feet into your shoes now, and then trim with scissors or whatever you want to do. You can just tear it. Trim the plastic grocery sack down to your shoe level. Tuck the excess in to your shoes if there is any. And you have just created a wind barrier over your feet. And it works. It works so well. After all these years, I still do not have shoe covers for my feet. And anytime that it's cold enough and I'm going out for an outdoor ride, I'll just grab some grocery sacks and then do that. It's amazing. It really, really works. And let's say your feet start getting hot, which is probably not, you just never notice. You could just take them off, put them in your jersey pocket. They wad up to nothing, like the size of a dime. And you can use them the rest of the ride. After the ride, you just throw them away. And really good for racing in cold weather, by the way. And let's see, should I number these too? Let me see if I can number this list. Do I do number children? Oh man, yeah, look at that. I just numbered your children. 2, 3. Okay, number 4. Put workout gear out the night before. Now this is a well-known tip, but it does 2 things. One, it gets you motivated to go. Actually, it does 3 things. It gets you motivated to go ride the next day that you've got all your gear out. 2 is it helps you start visualizing your ride the next day and what you're going to do, and it helps you get your plan together. And 3, when you start putting your stuff together for a ride, bike riding is so complicated, it is almost guaranteed you're going to realize, oh crap, I don't have this, or I don't have that, right? Like, man, where is my helmet? Where's my left freaking bike glove? And then you'll actually save a bunch of time the next morning and have a more relaxed ride because you've put everything out where you need to. Oh, you know what? I just thought of one. We're going to put this on here. Number 5. That was number 4. Number 5 is look for glass in your tires before you go out on every ride. You can prevent flats big time by looking for glass before a ride, because it actually usually takes quite a few miles of riding for a piece of glass to work itself into your tire. And so if you make it a habit of every time that you go out, before you start a ride, spin your tires slowly, look for glass, pick out any glass. You're going to save yourself some flats. I hardly ever have flats anymore since I learned that. Anytime you ride through what looks like a patch of broken glass, take your bike glove and let your tire run through your hand with your bike glove as you keep riding. That'll knock glass and sharp stones off before they start digging into your tire. Doing that on the back tire is quite a feat of gymnastics, and also so you don't get your hand wedged into your frame with your rear tire. But it can be done. You see pros do it all the time on road bikes. And then anytime you stop for water, just give your tires a quick spin and then look for glass in your tires and pick it out. And also in your bento box or your bike toolkit, whatever you got on your bike, saddlebag, keep something that's like a fingernail sharpener or something like that. That's like a small blade. You should have like a little tiny pocket knife on you anyways to pick out the glass. It helps a lot to have a real sharp blade to help pick out that glass. Anyway, let's see. Number 6, unless you have biking bliss, unless you live in biking bliss, bike on a trainer. So there's a few people that live where they have choices of where to bike. They've got flats and they have hills. I can think of like Boulder, for example. They can ride on a flat ground and ride on mountains. But it still gets cold there. And I'm trying to think of some other places. There's a few places. Flagstaff, Arizona is like that. Texas, it's kind of nice sometimes. But get a trainer and have your bike set up on it. You can even get an old bike and set it up on your trainer, although it's best to have your actual real bike. And you can get on your trainer and have fantastic riding conditions. No stoplights, no having to slow down, no having to change a flat tire, no having to wait on other people. And you can have, like I just rode an hour and a half just a few minutes ago. And I stopped at an hour to go check on my pool because the little skimmer thing was acting weird. And then took a whiz and then got back on my bike, right? That's the only time I stopped. And then I biked another half an hour, I think, with no stopping while watching Netflix. I was watching this, oh man, it's freaking great. The Norseman, which is very authentic Viking actors and setting and show. But at the same time, it's a comedy of what life was probably kind of really like. And it's almost like a British comedy where there's just some ridiculous stuff, and they say like funny things, and it's really bizarre actually. And I like it, man, because I like to be in an upbeat mood and laugh and stuff. I like comedies to keep me in a good mood, especially while on the bike. And the Viking thing, I'm part Swedish, and so I love the Viking stuff. And the I don't know, man. You got to go check it out. It's really cool. There's only like 4 or 5 episodes and one season, so maybe they'll bring it back next year. Anyway, so I was having a good time watching that. And on the bike, on a trainer, you can you have just the perfect amount. You want to do a 3-minute hill and then a 5-minute hill and then a 20-minute hill. All you got to do is just up the gears and it's all there. And then you want to coast and go easy. I was talking to somebody the other day that said that they tried doing real interval training around here or in New Mexico, wherever it was. Oh yeah, she was from Roswell. And said it was like impossible. You can't do it. The only place you can really do it is on a trainer. And so many pros have gotten, Lionel Sanders, for example. So he's your best Canadian, your best American. Oh crap, what's his name? I shook his hand as I came out of the toilet at Whistler. And then I thought I shouldn't have done that. Andy Potts said, a trainer all the time, really up their game. And then you go outside to up your bike skills. I understand. I was big into riding outdoors all the time. You know, I was an outdoor warrior and all that stuff. So I understand if that's your thing. But at some point, you run out of available gains and you need to ride indoor. You need to ride on a trainer to actually peak out what you can make out of yourself, out of your body. Okay. Then we have sunglasses. After all these years, I have found that the more you pay for sunglasses, the faster you're going to lose them. It's just like a law of nature. And the best sunglasses out there are from the drugstore, where they cost $20. Drugstore, corner store, gas station, maybe, but definitely we have Walgreens and CVS around here. Every time you go into Walgreens or CVS, just kind of look and try on their sunglasses. And eventually they'll have a pair that really work well that are the following. Amber driving lenses. So that kind of orangish, not dark orange. Well, it's kind of dark, but not like orangey orange, but like they're called driving lenses. And don't get the gray ones. or the black ones. You want the amber kind of rose colored ones, and polarized, and they're cheap, and you can find these at the drugstore, and you can buy a pair of these, and they will last 2 years for $20. And then when you finally break them, your son sits on them when he hops in the car and goes, "Hey, Dad," crunch, like that. And you're like, you can just go to the drugstore and get another pair. And actually, you can go to the drugstore and get another pair like right now as a backup pair, so that when you finally do break yours, you can go, "Oh, I got another pair." It's the same thing I do with goggles. And that reminds me, on the swim, we're going to have a swim tip about goggles. But hold on. Okay. The smart thing with goggles is to have 2 pair, and you take 2 pair to a race and everything else like that. You don't necessarily need to take 2 pair of sunglasses to a race, but these amber driving lenses, polarized sunglasses that you can get at a drugstore are so good that you can buy yourself an extra pair and have it in a drawer in your bathroom or something like that. And then when you end up breaking a pair, you can just buy another. You can just throw on the other pair, and then next time you're out, you can grab yourself another pair. All right, back to the bike stuff. Skinsake. It doesn't have to be Skinsake brand, but I found that the best brand of lube out there was an early sponsor of Zen and the Art of Triathlon called Skinsake. And what it is it's lube for your crotch and wherever else that you're going to chafe. your taint. But Skinsake is medicated. And there's a regular version, and then there's one specifically for athletes. And it's a USA company, and it just works great. Really, really, really good. And it seems to take forever to go through a bottle of stuff. So don't be afraid about buying a bottle of whatever it costs. It's not that expensive. But I'm just saying, I use some on my bike ride. And what happens is, let's say you just use like regular lube that's not medicated. Oh, it was invented to help babies with diaper rash and to keep them from getting infections from their diaper rashes in hospitals. So this is medical grade lube, anti-chafing. So when you put it on, not only are you preventing or majorly delaying any kind of chafing, if you do start to chafe and get a break in the skin, it starts working to heal it a whole lot faster. Okay, so that's Skinsake. Camelbacks. There is a thing with cycling culture, road biking, not mountain biking. Mountain biking, because it's a newer cycling sport than road biking, is all about the camelback, specifically because they don't want to take their hands off the handlebars too long to reach down and grab a bottle. So camelbacks work for them. Camelbacks are awesome. I think my Ironman PR, I was wearing a camelback. So you can just loosen the straps to the max and then let it hang way down by your lower back. And while you're hunched over, it has no aerodynamic penalty. And you've got a ton of whatever you want, like usually water, but you could have electrolytes. The guy that won first place amateur at Kona a few years back, and I had him on the podcast, was he crossed the finish line. Everybody's like, "Who's this guy?" Because he came out of nowhere, like right behind the pros, was running with a camelback on. And because he had his like an electrolyte mix and fuel in there. And then what it does is it helps you drink a ton more water. The biggest risk, along with underfueling or overfueling, is not drinking enough water in something long. And this cures that problem. And on top of that, on warm days, put your camelback half full of water in the freezer the night before you go ride, and you will have, when you add water to it for your ride, you will have ice cold water during your hot ride, and you can fill it most of the way, and then you stop for a water stop. You can fill it back up with water again, and then that block of ice lasts forever. I use a 70-ounce camelback. And on top of that, you can get a camelback in like this high-vis fluorescent yellow, and that helps you from being hit by cars. And let's see, there was something else. I'll think of it in a second. When you store your Camelback, so you get into using this, the best place to store your Camelback is in the freezer. Unscrew the lid. Let's say you have no water in it. Unscrew the lid and throw it in the freezer and mold. And man, this is a good tip for water bottles too. Let's say you got some favorite water bottles that you like to use. Unscrew the lids. That way you can actually get them undone later, because when they freeze, they're going to be impossible to get undone. Throw them in the freezer, and you will actually prevent mold and other kinds of stuff from growing on it. It's a pretty cool tip. Okay, let's see. Power meter. All right, if you are a serious cyclist on the bike, you should definitely get a power meter. Now they've dropped in price by half, 2/3 of what I paid for mine back in the day. And mine is, I have a power tap in the rear hub. They last forever. But now they have pedals. They have ones on the crank. It all depends on what you want to do. They're now costing around $700-800. It is the best investment in cycling that you can possibly imagine, because you pair your power meter with your heart rate. Your heart rate is your effort. Power meter is your output. So you can try all kinds of stuff. You can be like, okay, if I change my position and get a little bit lower, same power, higher heart rate, you're like, oh man, I'm working harder to put out the same amount of power. That's too low. I'm too crunched. I can't breathe. But you can drop your position until that happens, and you can do that with the power meter. You can measure bike rides and compare them against each other. You can try something new and then go, whoa, I put out more power on the bike, and because of this one change. And also, you can see what position. You can raise your seat a little bit, lower your seat, and go, whoa, that's more power. That's great. More power. Just by changing things up. You wouldn't know unless you were able to measure it, right? It's like the clear water bottle thing. And then also, with enough bike rides, you will develop a power curve. And Strava Pro, which is the edition that you actually pay for, you get access to a power curve. And it is the best power curve in the business I've seen so far, because it's so easy to use. And what it does is it generates over all your past, and you can change the settings, past 3 months, 6 weeks, year, whatever you want. It averages everything out and shows you what your power curve looks like. So it's like, okay, the best you've ever done is at 30 minutes is this many watts. And at, let's say 30 minutes is like 310 watts. And then at an hour, it's like 290 watts. And then at 2 hours, 250 watts. And then at 3 hours, 240 watts. And, it shows you what you are actually capable of. So, and you can tell because of the way the graph goes, the way the curve goes, you can easily estimate out 5 hours, 6 hours for your Ironman bike and go, okay, this is what I could do for my best bike on an Ironman. And that's not including running afterwards. So let's say it says 220 watts. And then I go, okay, well, but I got to run after that. So let's just let's target 200 watts. It is so easy. You can just look at it and just go, this is what I'm capable of. And it builds it automatically. And you wouldn't be able to see that unless you actually had a power meter on your bike. And you wouldn't be able to use it unless you had a power meter on your bike. And a power meter on your bike, I consider it basically cheating, although I do it, on the Ironman, because it takes all the guesswork out of the bike. You just stick with your power, and then you will have Ironman's plenty hard as it is. It's got plenty of other variables, so it's not that much of a cheating. But I'm going to keep it around 210 watts, let's say, for an Ironman ride. And then what you do is you have your bike your bike computer showing your average watts overall and also your watts average over the last lap. And then what you do is you hit the lap or set it to auto refresh about every 20 minutes or so, every 30 minutes. And that way you can kind of keep an eye on what you've been doing recently and then also the overall average. And and by the way, looking to normalize power, that's actually a better thing than just regular average watts. That's a whole separate thing. But if you've been training with a power meter and you know your power curve, and that'll tell you your FTP, your functional threshold power, but your FTP is like the best you could possibly do, and it also is the best you could possibly do, and probably not run afterwards. And your full power curve shows you what you've actually done out there, and it puts the date on it too for when you did that. And you could be like, oh, that day, yeah, I remember that. That was I was whooped after that day. So no, don't go that hard. And back off of that a few percentage points, and that will be what you should do on the bike. Okay. And yeah, especially the lap on the power meter to power on the bike computer. Okay. Now let's see, headphones. So I used to use Jaybirds because they would last decently well waterproof wise. But I got Apple AirPods, and while they don't have the battery life of Jaybirds, they don't do like 6 hours, they do like 3 hours. You can just wear one, which actually you can't do with a Jaybird. I mean, you kind of can, but they're connected, so it's kind of goofy. But the Apple AirPods, you can actually just wear one, and when you discharge one, you wear one out battery wise, you can put it back into the charging case, and it'll charge back up pretty quickly. And then you can just listen to one, which you're out on the bike. One headphone is probably smart anyway, at most. And then when that one discharges, you put in the other headphone, and you can just keep rotating like this for like 10 hours or something like that. It's absolutely awesome. And they are super duper sweat proof. They really are. Although recently my microphone on them has kind of gummed up. So I need to clean that. If anybody has any tips on how to clean that, send me an email, texaphonia@gmail.com, and we can talk about it. And I'm thinking about using an electric toothbrush and just water and scrubbing the screens on the microphones they're tiny down on the bottom, and see if that clears out whatever's. Emily says I sound muffled on them. And the other thing is, there's two other things. When you get them stock, if you double tap on the side, it's Siri comes on, wants to answer questions. Dude, I ain't got any questions for Siri. Okay. And then, what time does Freebird's World Burrito stop serving dinner tonight? It's going to be all like, I can't understand your question. Can you please repeat? No, there's a setting in your Bluetooth settings. The double tap changes from Siri to pause play. That's one thing you got to do. Then also you can get these silicone covers. They're the little jackets, just kind of like what I was talking about with the kind of like the Sugru and the Croakies on your ear tips, your sunglass tips. These little silicone covers that are pre-made to cover the Apple AirPods, the part that goes into your ear. Now, all of a sudden, they're not going to slide out of your ears anymore. They're going to fit. And they have like these little winglet little things that stick up into your ears a little bit and keep them in place. Now, this whole thing where people are like, I wish every time I run, they bounce out of my ears. Nope, not anymore. And in fact, they work so well, and they're cheap. They work so well that I've gone 35 miles an hour or something like that on the bike, and they still stay in. No problem. Maybe even 40 miles an hour, and they still stay in. Don't even worry about it. It's awesome. It's so freaking great. Okay. Also, along with the music, have different types of audio ready and available for you to use for the mood you want to create. And the way I do this is, let's talk about first Pandora. I use Pandora. You can use one of those other music systems, but have some channels and have like a soft Buddha bar radio is one, where it's just relaxed and quiet, and that'll calm you down a little bit and allow you to be contemplative, right? So if you want to meditate a little bit, right? And then you have heavy metal or whatever to get all amped up. And then what I've really found is rap, and is really good for out on the, I was listening to it while I was on the run this morning, and anything with big pauses. So like rap has a beat, boom, boom, and also down tempo has a beat with air gaps in between, and that allows you to hear traffic. If it's just a wall of sound, like Led Zeppelin coming at you, then you will have trouble hearing traffic. But rap is really good. So this rap station I made up was Common and Most Def, and it started playing Wu-Tang Clan in there, and that's some good shit. So I was just laughing at some of the lyrics when I was running along. That's legit stuff, man. And then on top of that, so that's music for different kind of moods, but they're on cue, right? As you, God, there's a saying, something about mood is your energy. You can create your mood. So music helps you create your mood. And then on top of that, podcasts. So I've subscribed to podcasts about science, tech, productivity is huge, huge, huge. If you're a triathlete, that usually means that you are type A and you like to get shit done. And there's a lot of productivity podcasts out there that will help you get those things done. Lots of tips and tricks on how to do it. Lots of hacks. And then, the Zen talks are relaxing and make you kind of think. Science makes you kind of learn. There's things you didn't learn in history class podcasts. There's all these podcasts about everything, news, all this stuff. So between all that, and then I have a subscription to Audible, and I can listen to an audiobook also that's already downloaded in case I've got no internet connection and I can't listen to anything. Because like Pandora, needs an internet connection. Well, unless you get their whatever version. But my point being is anything I want to do, I have a soundtrack along with me if I want to accompany me, right? And for example, I found this extremely useful when I want to get back into it. Oh, I'm so excited. My feet are healing up. And I want to get back into running the 50 and maybe even the 100-miler again. And it is critical to start off easy, right? This would be good for any kind of long run. You want to start off easy, especially races, and not go too fast. So I would listen to talk radio, like a podcast or like I said, Buddha bar or Zen talk, something like that. Just quiet, soft music to start off. And not only does that soothe you and kind of keep you going slower, it's a reminder to go slower. Then as I got around to the midpoint of the race and starting to feel a little tired, and these things are like 9 hours long, and because it's through the woods and all this stuff, it's crazy. The rap music was a good pick-me-up, and like just like regular rock and roll. And then like the last hour, like heavy metal, and then like the last 20 minutes, like death metal, right? But they're all on cue. I could just hit the button on Pandora on my phone and change it, and then I've got that, right? And there's nothing like wrapping up a race, listening to Nine Inch Nails and Lamb of God, Pantera, Metallica, pumping you up as you're finishing. And it's all there available for you to use. Okay, we have, let's see, we did AirPods. Woods this is number 12. Woods make you happy. Being in the outdoors, but not just outdoors on the street. Urban environments can be kind of agitating. It kind of depends on where you came from. But I grew up more woodsy, and being in the woods and on trails makes you happy. So on occasion, if not as much as possible, go for a bike ride on country roads where there's lots of trees and the tree tunnels. That's where you're riding and the trees actually connect over the road. Is so awesome. And then if you can, mountain biking. There's no cars in mountain biking, so you don't have to worry about being hit by a car, which is a big plus. And although you do have to worry about slamming into a tree on occasion, but you do a couple hours mountain biking and you feel just amazing, re-energized. And it doesn't take much of a mountain bike. Let's say you've got your super duper tri bike and you sunk all this money. You're like, oh man, I don't have to buy another mountain bike. I bought a few years back about a $650, $700 mountain bike, and it is held up. A Jamis Durango. It's a pretty low level mountain bike, and I used to have I used to be big into mountain bike. I used to have a Cannondale top of the line full suspension with XT top to bottom on it, machined crank on it, all one billet machined crank. Oh my God, the thing was nuts. So cool. But I sold all that, to kind of get into triathlon. And so I just got kind of a beater mountain bike, and it is fantastic. So you don't have to sink a ton of money into a mountain bike. Because all you're doing is just doing it just to kind of get outside and just have fun. And as things break on your mountain bike, just buy the same or buy a little bit nicer. And they will break. Because mountain biking is rough. And let's see. Number 13. We've only got 3 more with biking. Make your own fuel. So fuel can be expensive. It is expensive. It's $1 to $2 per gel, and you can be putting down 2, 3, 4 gels per hour if we're talking about gels. So now we're talking going out for a 4-hour train ride is like going out for an expensive dinner, right? And this is supposed to be just exercising. So why are you spending so much money? You can order maltodextrin powder, which is the main ingredient. Zoe's coming in. Zoe and I went for a run this morning. Yes, we did. We ran 7 miles. Yes, we did. Yes, you're getting hungry? Okay, I'm going to finish. Zoe, I'm going to finish recording, and then I'll feed you, okay? Recording just this bike part. And I think it was $70 or $80. I bought a 50-pound bag of maltodextrin online, delivered to my door by UPS in just a few days. And that is the main ingredient in gels. When they say your complex carb, all complex carb is starch. Maltodextrin, yes, it's a starch, but it absorbs super fast, and it is way smoother on the stomach than simple sugars. And then on top of that, you can buy the big containers of they're like a pound or more of Gatorade powder, and you can combine the two, like 2 parts maltodextrin and 1 part Gatorade powder. Now you have something that's not going to upset your stomach, and it is pennies on the dollar compared to buying all this expensive fuel. Add your own salt. I add saltstick.com and discount code ZenTri. But then also there's other stuff out there, Himalayan pink Himalayan pink salt. It's got a good flavor to it. You can add your own sodium, salt, electrolytes to taste, and bam, you have your own fuel for cheap. And on top of that, another option for the simple sugar instead of Gatorade powder is maple syrup, which is super cool because it tastes awesome. And the craziest thing about maple syrup, so you do your maltodextrin, but instead of Gatorade powder, you just do maple syrup. Maple syrup is non-sticky. So like, let's say like Coke, right? You spill Coke on something, you know how it gets like really, really sticky? Maple syrup, you spill it on something, you just add water and it rinses right off. It's the craziest thing. It makes for biking or you get running where you get sugary stuff on you, like so different. It's really great. And plus, maple syrup is sugary plus like a buttery flavor. It's like you're eating pancakes the entire way. It's so good. So there's that. If you want to add some caffeine, buy matcha, MATCHA is green tea. It's powdered green tea. And it only takes a tiny bit. You can add matcha powder to your fuel, and there's your caffeine. And then on top of that, matcha powder actually has fluoride in it, a little bit of fluoride, so it prevents cavities. And maple syrup and matcha powder are both antimicrobial, so that helps your teeth from being all sugary. And then on top of that, keep your fuel and your water separate. And I was doing that today. I had some hammer gel left over from, a year ago. And so I decided to sip on that, and I put it in a gel flask. That way I could just sip on it like I was sipping on a gel, but a gel flask holds like 8 gels or something like that. But I had this big container of hammer gel left over, poured it in there. And so I would take a sip from the gel flask and then put it back in my running shorts, and I'm running along, and then sip water afterwards. And the tip is, after fueling, after taking a sip of fuel, because it's sugary, follow fuel with water. It can have electrolytes in it, but just with plain water, clear water, and that'll help you rinse off your teeth, and then you don't have sugar just sitting on your teeth for hours and hours and hours at a time. You're constantly rinsing your teeth off, the sugar off your teeth with water. And if you talk to a dentist will tell you, anytime you eat something sugary, as soon as you can, drink water and swish your mouth, and that is a major protective agent against getting cavities. It works like a charm. Okay, that was number 13. We only have 14 and 15 to go. 14 is set a timer on your bike computer or whatever you're using, and at least be sipping water on that timer. I've got a timer for every 5 minutes, as you heard last episode, on the bike, and I at least drink a little bit of water, and most of the time I take a tiny sip of fuel. And then what's going on there is you're getting the IV drip, basically, of fuel, and you're not spiking your blood sugar with a big chug like every 20 minutes. People take like a gel every 20 minutes. What the hell are you doing, man? You're going to get such an upset stomach, that gel just hitting you like, ugh. That's what people get really sick. But imagine spreading that gel out over 4 sips, 5 minutes apart, and then following it with water, how much smoother that's going to be on your stomach. And then you don't get that insulin spike, because guess what comes after an insulin or sugar spike is insulin starts activating, and then that spike turns into a trough, and now you have no blood sugar and you feel like crap. So this keeps you nice and even Steven, just nice and smooth. Okay. So at least be sipping water on a timer, and then on occasion, before you do the water, do a sip of fuel, and then that water will rinse the fuel down and clean out your teeth. Okay, number 15 is, if your phone is not waterproof, or if you want to make it more waterproof, put it in a Ziploc bag. If you have a normal to smaller size phone, smartphone, it will fit in a snack size. They make these Ziploc bags that are about half of a sandwich size, called snack size Ziploc bags. And you can, the cool thing is your screen will work through a Ziploc, but you didn't know that. I had an iPhone 5, which is not waterproof, and used it for 4 years or something. I don't know if it's 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years in a Ziploc. Never had water damage, nothing to it. All that I've done. And the screen works through the Ziploc plastic like it's not even there. And now your phone's waterproof. Isn't that cool? Pretty cool. And it works out if you want to... you just kind of like improve the waterproofness of your phone just in case. You're going to go whitewater rafting. Put that sucker in a Ziploc, and then if it drops in the water, you're going to go to the ocean. If it drops in the water, you've got it's more waterproof. This is if your phone's already waterproof. Now it's even more waterproof. Plus it has a little bit of air in it, so it'll take longer to sink to the bottom. You got time to jump in after it. All right, that is all from the bike. Oh my gosh, that was plenty. That was 15 things, and we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we will come back with tips for the run. Hold on just a second. All right, we have changed locations. We are now outside of Gold's Gym. I'm going to talk to you for a second about what I did in there. But first, let's talk about this episode's Bike of the Week. Here we go. Polka Dotted, King of the Mountain.
Let's go, King of the Mountain. Come on, let's go. He doesn't know what it is.
He doesn't know what that means. All right, this Bike of the Week is the most, I don't know if it's advanced, but the most expensive triathlon bike out there. The joke on Slow Twitch is that only dentists can afford it. Oh, man. And the funny thing is it's actually not so much about that bike because, I don't know, I think that bike's a little bit out of reach for everybody. Even the most wealthiest dentist may say this bike is too much. And the real reason I mention it is some handlebars came out that replicate the big thing that this bike can do. And this bike is the Cervelo P5X, I believe. It came out about a year ago in time for Kona. And the thing is ridiculous. It's the Flying V, which is both good and bad. That beam coming off the back. It's missing the seat tube, right? That completes the tube that comes down to the bottom bracket. So it looks like a sideways flying V flying through the air. You look like Randy Rhoads and Ozzy Osbourne riding around on that thing. It would be cool to get one painted like the Randy Rhoads guitar, wouldn't it? Blue with white polka dots, I think that thing was. But anyway, the thing about it is that it's also insanely adjustable. Another high point was designed by Steve Head, H-E-D, famous aerodynamics designer, and we'll get into the aerodynamics in a second. The thing is, it's insanely adjustable, and it's one of the first bikes with disc brakes on it, I believe. But you can take it apart and put it back together really quickly with minimal amount of tools. And the really wild thing about the front end is that the handlebars come up, adjustable-wise, a lot like a seat post. And so you loosen, it's either one bolt or two bolts, maybe just one bolt. And I wouldn't really call it a stem, it's kind of like a virtual stem. That the handlebars themselves stay in place, but the stem, the part with the elbow pads and the narrow arrow bars that stick out longest in the front, that whole assembly comes up, and then you can tighten the bolt back down, and then it stays in place. So let's say you want to adjust your height by a centimeter or two, right? You want to try something out. Then, dude, mid-ride, with just a quick adjustment, you could adjust your bars. And let's say that you want to do an Ironman, and you want to stop halfway through the ride and raise your bars a little bit because you're tired of being super-duper aero. You could totally do that. Like, the fact that it doesn't adjust with just like a lever, like, what are those called? Those dropper seat posts would be like. On mountain bikes, that would be really cool. You could just raise and lower the aero bars as needed. You got a tailwind, so you don't need to be super aero. So like a little lever you could press, and then the bars, you could pull them up a little bit. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? You want to get like super low because you're going into a really bad headwind, or you're going downhill, then drop the bars a little bit more extra, but then that's not sustainable, so you raise them back up again. Wouldn't that be cool? Somebody build that. Anyway, that is what the P5X's aero bars can do. They also break in the middle on purpose and fold. So it's even easier to pack your bike and, all that good stuff. Anyway, that was a year ago. And, the bike is like 15 grand or something. It's ridiculous. And the news lately, just like last week, TriRig, TRIRIG, came out with handlebars that you can use on your bike that are almost identical to these. They have a post that comes up in the middle, and you can adjust that post height just like a seat post height, up and down really easily. So go check those out, the TriRig handlebars. So if you want one of the cool features of the P5X, but you're not a dentist and you don't have 15 grand to blow, apologies to all the dentists out there. My stepdad's a dentist. No, stepfather-in-law is a dentist. One of my favorite guys is a dentist. I love this guy. Anyway, I'm not being anti-dentite. You go check it out. And at tririg.com. And we should give a shout out to the sponsor of this segment, VeloSurance Bike Insurance. VeloSurance Bike Insurance. Dave at velosurance.com. Email him. Get your bikes insured. You might have invested a lot of money into a race bike by now. And carbon fiber is what everything's made out of lately. And carbon fiber and aluminum. And the only thing that doesn't seem to respond bad to crashes is steel. Everything else, you hit the pavement, bike shatters. It is bad news. So you want to get back on your bike as soon as you can. Get bike insurance. So I checked with my insurance company and before I got Velo Insurance, and they did not cover bikes at all for stuff that you actually do with a bike. They cover bikes as if you're not ever going to ride it. Like somebody breaks into your house and steals it. Okay, now it's covered. But dude, I need my bike to be covered if I'm out riding my bike and I do what I did one time where I was riding with one hand sitting up, and it was a hot day, so I'm sweaty, so I don't have as much grip, and I'm being a triathlete, so I'm practicing riding without gloves probably, and this was a while back, and I hit a lump of asphalt or concrete in the road that I couldn't see because it was the same color as the road. There's like when they pour the road, sometimes they leave drippings behind, so it's just like a bump, but you can't see it, and I hit that thing, and I went airborne. Probably a foot into the air off the ground and sideways. And then when I hit the ground, it's what they call a yard sale. Just everything on my bike, which was a lot of junk because I was on a long training ride. It's like a 5-hour training ride. Was like everywhere all across a highway, a 70 mile per hour 2-lane highway. And I had to, one, check myself to make sure I wasn't dead. And then two, scramble and pack up all my stuff. And can you imagine how much damage was done to my bike by that? That's like somebody just picking up your bike and slamming it into the ground, And also, if you're traveling with your bike insurance covers that as well. So VeloSurance Bike Insurance is a bike insurance company that is run by cyclists. So they insure your bike based on what you do on it, specifically for racing. There's a lot of insurance companies that won't insure your bike if you race it. Well, it's a racing bike. That's what it was meant to be. So email Dave at veloinsurance.com and ask him for a quote, get into a conversation with him, ask him, tell him how you ride your bike, and they'll figure out the best coverage for you. They do stuff like if you travel, even I think if you go out of the country, they offer packages for that as well. It's really great stuff. I remember I got it for when I went to Canada and my Trek Speed Concept was brand new. And I was like, dude, this thing gets smashed while I'm flying. I'm going to be so pissed off, and I don't have money to buy another one. This was it. This is all the money I had. So that's where Velo Insurance came in handy. VeloSurance came in handy. All right, so check them out. All right, let's get back to our run tips after I just make a little mention here of Gold's Gym. any gym, weightlifting. But one thing I forgot, I went and ate Mad Taco, which is a really good Texas taco kind of joint. And I had green chili chicken and one taco of that and one taco of blackened shrimp. Oh, so good. The cool thing about small tacos from gourmet taco places is they tend to have lots of veggies and fiber on there. You know, you got your onions and your pepper and cabbage and stuff like that. It's really good for your guts, man. And but now I've and guacamole, right, which is really good for you. Well, guacamole's got fat. Like, I just ate chicken and shrimp and guacamole, right? So I'm like got meat and grease in my guts. This is not a good time to quote unquote work out. Well, it's actually not a good time to quote unquote work out endurance aerobic wise, but it's an awesome time to go do anaerobic, like lift weights. And I was like, yeah, I forgot, man. I'm so used to triathlon training where if I eat, I can't work out for like an hour at least. But with weightlifting, you eat, you can go work out within just a few minutes. As soon as you can wipe your greasy face, you can go in there and lift some weights. And on top of that, you can lift pretty heavy. I was doing squats. As long as you aren't lifting as hard as these people that you see on weightlifting competition videos on YouTube where they lift something so heavy, they spontaneously vomit. And that is crazy. You got to look at it. Lifting till you puke, or girl throws up, girl pukes lifting weights, guy pukes lifting weights. Go check out some of those videos. Those are pretty great. Anyway, I did, I don't think in this order, biceps, triceps, and those were, biceps was free weights, triceps was a cable machine. I did bench press, but I haven't done bench press in so long that I did a machine. That way it kept it more stabilized instead of free weight bench press. But the arms were independent of each other, which was nice. And then squats on a machine. And if you haven't done anything in a long time, it's best just to start off with a machine and then get crazy with your free weights and all that stuff as you kind of strengthen up a little bit. And then what I really like is cable. Cable is kind of like is a mix of machine and free weights like together in one. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful idea. And then something that you may not see people do all that often, but it looks great when you start getting results from it, is shoulder shrugs. So I'm talking like really heavy hand weights. So I was doing 80 pounds per hand, which is like, was that 160 pound barbell is the equivalent, but I'm doing 80 pound dumbbell in one hand and 80 pound dumbbell in the other hand. You pick it up, you can barely pick these things up, and then stand back from the weight rack and then shrug your shoulders, try to lift your shoulders to your ears. And what that is building, you'll suck at it the first few times. And then after a while, you kind of figure out the movement. What this is building is one, forearm strength, because, oh my God, holding on to these things is tough. But the other one is the muscles. When you see somebody that looks like a meathead, is where their neck kind of goes from their jaw or like their ears down to their shoulder blades. Well, this helps build up those muscles, the tops of your shoulders and the back of your shoulders up to your neck. So it makes your visible part of your body when you're just walking around bigger and thicker, and it helps you build those bumps, one big lump on each side, that when you see those on somebody, you're like, that dude is strong, right? Because the only way you get those is from lifting really heavy stuff up and with your shoulders, and that's how you do it. Some people call them shrugs. That's what I call them. So I did those today. And man, it felt really good. I could feel when I was doing squats that my knees were kind of unstable. So I was glad I was on a machine. Oh, and then another thing is when you log your weightlifting workout, log what you did. And then that way you, the next time you go, you can go look at your last time and don't do the same thing last time. You know, you can alternate. You can go twice as often, 20, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes to go lift weights. if you, on one day you go and you do the certain muscles, and then the next day you go, you do these other muscles, and then you never do too much, and then you've always got a reason to go, but you do have to keep track of what you did so you don't do two things, and it's not much use in doing things back-to-back days. But anyway, all right, that's enough of Brett's weightlifting adventures. Let's get back to the important part of the podcast, and let's cover our hacks, and this time for running. Here we go. All right, we are back. I am in my kitchen. I just finished a long run, and I'm super excited because I am now back to, I did 12 miles, which is pretty much, with like rare exception, like your longest long run that you really need to do for pretty much all sports. Now, you're doing some kind of ultra marathon or something like that, then yeah, you need to go out and knock out a 20 miler. And I mean, that's like for training for like a 50 or 100 miler. That's on rare occasion, you don't really need to do stuff like that. And then, yeah, some people like doing 15 to 18 miles to prepare for a marathon. But the basic minimum for your long run is 12 miles. And 2 years ago, fans of the show might remember that I had two things happen. I did a self-supported Ultraman, and that tore up my feet with plantar fasciitis, and I've been battling that and trying to continue working out while healing at the same time, because I'm the personality type, as many of you are, I bet, where if you don't exercise, actually you get kind of depressed. And so I kept trying to figure out ways to exercise and continue healing the plantar fasciitis at the same time, which is extremely difficult to do. And I'd already signed up for Ironman Canada, which is a hilly race, which I learned over time is like the recipe to make plantar fasciitis worse, is hills. And also, 2 years ago, shortly after doing the Ultra Baby is what I called it, self-support Ultraman, I was running a couple months later in the dark and tripped over a chain that was strung across the road that I didn't see. Put my arms out in front of me as I hit the ground. I got a message from Emily. Oh, they're already headed home. That's cool. And they're out of town. And I got an injury that is typical of people that have been in a car wreck, is where you put your arms out in front of you and then it slams your joint because your arms are outstretched. This happens to people putting their arms out on the dashboard of a car in a head-on collision. And it jams your forearm bone into your upper arm bone, whatever those are called, and the joint capsule, which I didn't know existed, around your elbow joint explodes. And that means it ruptures. Apparently there's like some kind of, soft tissue, semi-soft, semi-hard tissue around your elbow joint. And when that explodes, it creates all kinds of, it is one of the most painful things that you can ever experience. That's how they diagnosed it. They said, how bad does it hurt? And I said, I want to die. And I'm about to throw up from the pain, even though I'm not moving. And they said, yep. And now try to straighten out your arm. And you can't straighten out your arm at all. And that's all the, eventually, it's the damage inside that joint. It's kind of like an angle joint, like getting something stuck in a door jamb. You know how you can't close the door all the way? Because there's stuff stuck in the door jamb. Well, you've got inflammation and fluid in there, and then eventually, and probably bits of tissue, and then eventually you have scar tissue. And they said, you will never be able to straighten out your arm all the way again, which is pretty true. And you're going to need a lot of therapy. Okay, so it made swimming so painful and so bad and so slow and so frustrating that, and at the same time with that, I had scheduled, because your best tattoo artist in town, or in your area, it usually has a backlog. And I had scheduled this big tattoo on my right shoulder and my right upper arm of a crashing wave, the Japanese crashing wave, and a Japanese tiger. And they represent water and overcoming fear and strength, all kinds of stuff like that. I find it's better to do symbolic tattoos than actual like brand names or things that are or like somebody, like a girlfriend's name, because those things can change. Like Iron Man got bought out by a Chinese company, and Iron Man's a corporation. You get mad at a corporation, but symbolic stuff that's more vague is more translatable and more interpretable, if that's a word, to the bigger picture of things. And then so your tattoo is like timeless, right? So I got this big tattoo. It's got Mount Fuji on the back, and it also has to do with Zen. And it's a beautiful tattoo, and oh my God, that hurt. That took 3 sessions or maybe 4 sessions of 3 hours each. And it just feels like somebody's constantly put a cigarette out on you. That was pretty painful. But after each one of those sessions, you can't swim either. And those sessions are spaced several weeks apart, even like a month or 2 apart. That way it can heal. And you can't swim either. So I had this triple whammy to make a perfect storm of not being able to swim. And I never really complained about it on the show because it's not worth complaining about. But what that did was it made me, the only options I have is biking and running. You can't get in the water because you'll get an infection. And about the time I was getting my tattoo, there was in the news a guy that had gotten a tattoo, and then in Galveston he went surfing, and he got flesh-eating bacteria and died. And so yeah, you don't want to get in the water within 2 weeks of getting a tattoo. And if I had not broken my arm, not gotten the tattoo, then I could have spent a lot of time swimming and taken time off from running and biking and felt pretty good and let my plantar fasciitis heal. But the fact that all I had left was biking and running, that's all I had, so I would just continue doing that, and that wasn't allowing things to heal. And then eventually, my arm got better enough where I could start swimming and take a little bit of pressure off that. But then we had Ironman Canada coming up within the year, 9 months, and so I needed to keep training for that because I didn't want to, ruin my experience with that. And that just made things worse. So bam, that's where I ended up with all this. But back to my run today, learning way too much about plantar fasciitis and how to heal that. I am now the foremost expert, I believe, in how to recover from plantar fasciitis while not getting depressed because you've quit working out. But so while you can keep working out, unfortunately, it's a burden that I bear, that I'm now an expert in this. I'm back to a 12-mile run today, 2 years, almost to the dot, of being so injured that I was a complete mess and could only run a mile and on completely flat ground, maybe 2 miles on completely flat ground, and then would feel like a nightmare the next day when I got up. Now I'm up to 12 miles and on outdoor terrain, just random hills and stuff like that. I'm still keeping it kind of relatively flat, but that's it. I'm super excited. It is 12 miles is the distance that, that's your safe spot for a long run. And some people will do more or whatever, but that's the breaking point of now we're into, that's all I need. And it's just like, well, the 12 miles, I don't really do more than 12 miles. I could make the 12 miles harder. I could go faster. I could add in more hills, stuff like that. But 12 miles is it. So mentally, I'm like, wow. I finished that run today. The last mile started to hurt, but not in my plantar fasciitis. It just hurt because my longest run was 11 miles previously, yesterday. Now I did 12 miles after running 11 miles yesterday, and then biking like 20 something miles, and I'm there. Like, I'm super, super happy. And to some people, that sounds like that's an absolute crazy distance. But you got to remember, everything's relative. And I came from actually doing more than that. So I'm happy to be back to what's considered like decent, you know. And 9.5 minute mile, 9:27 mile pace. So that's sub 10. So that's just a nice jog. No urgency, just kind of doing things. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Let's move to somewhere with a little bit better audio quality. So while I was looking at my run, there was times I was running, if you take out the hills, it's Strava has this nice thing where it'll show how fast you went if it was flat ground. So it was a 9:20 pace, I believe, 9:22. But anyway, we're going to switch up from the running thing real quick. I want to record, since I just did this, the overall segment, and then we'll get back to running because there's a couple things in here that I want to get to you. I'm motivated. I'm moving around the house. Hold on. I'm motivated to get to you earlier so that you have them. Mostly because I was looking at my Strava thing. And let's go ahead and start with overall. I got like 6 things. Hey, Zoe. I got a dog in my face. Hey, babe, go over there. Just sit down. Yes, I'm right here. Yes, I taste like salt. No, you can't get on the computer. Go away. I love you. Go away. I can't help you. Oh, I bet you're hungry, huh? You refused to eat breakfast, so I put it away. Now look at you. Now look who wants breakfast. Okay, let's see my list. Oh, and when I came in, there was a really cool video posted on the Ultraman Facebook page. I retweeted it. I'm ZenTriathlon on Twitter, of the start of the Ultraman run, the double marathon. And I bet by the end of the show, because I got a bunch of things to do today, and we'll record the end of the show, we will have official numbers on how everybody did. They started in the dark with a conch. Is it conch? Conch? Shell blowing. That sounds like a trumpet, you know, and running off into the darkness. And some people are already, in fact, most of them, doing the Ironman shuffle right from the beginning because they're kind of beat up because they're on day 3. Anyway, overall things. So Strava did something that most people absolutely hate and got rid of their chronological feed. And you're like, what's a chronological feed? And it's because it's so normal that why would you change it? And that means that you see the thing that somebody posted last. And I'm going to give you a tip to get around this. And so like one day you open up Strava and it's got somebody ran something, right? And you're like, oh, cool. And then you ask them, wow, how was that run? I ran something like that today too. And then they reply back to you, oh, I ran that like 2 weeks ago. And then it gets annoying, right? And what it's doing is Strava is putting at the top of your feed of the people that you follow, like things that have more thumbs up and is more popular, I guess, or something like that. And it is so stupid and such a pain in the ass because it makes you have to put in more effort because the way, okay, like Facebook maybe, I guess, and Twitter can be like, oh, these are important things or whatever. But with sports, especially endurance sports, it's what the person did today or yesterday that actually you're looking for. You already know what they did that was big a couple of days ago or like a week ago or the big thing. And to put things out of order makes you have to spend extra calories and extra thinking power to go double check the date and then try to think like, did they do this? Did they do something else since then? And it's such a pain in the ass. And there's even a hashtag where people are complaining. I think it's like Strava chronological to get them to cut this crap out. And basically it's for advertising to have the most popular thumbs up or commented or whatever their algorithm is, stuff at the top. So, I mean, that works on Google results, right? To find out the most accurate and popular article on who was the dictator of Italy during World War II, you know, like the best article on that. But to find out people that you follow, like what's going on right now, of course you want things in chronological order, and you're not trying to outrank somebody else with popularity. I follow people because I like them, not because they're popular. And some of the people doing the most amazing stuff aren't all that popular anyway. And how are you going to find them if your feed keeps getting nailed with, imagine Justin Bieber or something like that trying to go out and run a mile or something like that. It's going to be at the top of everybody's feed, and we're all going to be like, what? Stop it. But anyway, there is an add-in in Google Chrome called Stravini, Stravini. Let me pull it up. And it overrides Strava's stupid algorithm and puts things in chronological order. And if I go to the front page of Strava, which is taking a second because I walked out of where the Wi-Fi is the fastest, I see, the big bar across the top, Strava, dashboard training, explorer, challenges, and this other thing called Stravini. Oh, it's hashtag bring back chronological. And if you click on it, it'll tweet it. And then the sub bar under that, it has activity feed, following, filter, and then sorting. This is what Stravini adds in, sorting, chronological. And that allows you to, and you can change it from chronological to Strava algorithm. And leave it on chronological, and you can see the most recent thing. That was the other thing, is like I just finished a run, right? And if I switch it back to Strava algorithm and I go to my activity feed, we're going to let it see what it does here. Even though I just finished my morning run, I am the last person of everybody. Then it's got this other guy I know before me. It's got Rich Roll, who's famous and verified of some sort on Strava. What? Anyway, Rich Roll, his bike ride yesterday at 9 a.m. is now ahead of mine that I just did just right now. And, that's fine, except I want to go look at the one I just did right now. I don't want to scroll down and try to find mine buried somewhere or hidden completely because his is more popular. I want to see what I did and go look at my numbers and stuff like that, right? Okay, so that's the Strava plugin that brings back chronological order, and that's called Stravini. And you can go to the Google Chrome plugin area, plugin store, and add that in. That is a huge thing to make your life a whole lot easier. And let's see, we have on the one big upgrade I did to, one of the biggest upgrades that was relatively inexpensive, I did to my training cave. We got a treadmill and bike trainer in the training cave, which is just a converted bedroom, small bedroom, was to buy this remote fan. So it's a standing fan, and it comes with a tiny little remote control, the size of a little iPod or something like that. And it's only got 3 or 2 buttons on it, and one is the remote power on the fan. So you leave the fan plugged in, pointed at the bike or the treadmill, and then a lot of times you get on the bike and you want the room cool or cold anyway. So you get on the bike, you do not want a fan on because you're not hot yet and it's miserable. And then let's say, then you want to start the fan. Well, you got to get off your bike and go over and turn on the fan, or get off the treadmill. You got to stop everything, go over and turn on the fan, and then hope you got it on the right setting, because you don't really know until you start going again. And then you could get off the bike or the trainer again and then go over there and adjust it up a notch because, they usually have like 3 speeds. I found on Amazon this fan that is a remote control, and it does on, off, and it does the 3 different speeds. So while I'm biking or while I'm on the treadmill, I can reach over and grab the remote and turn on the fan and also adjust the speed. And it's those little things. I think the fan was like $40 or $50, but it's those little things that is so like duh and so simple that makes triathlon training so much easier, that you really ought to look into. And I remember I've showed a couple people that have come over and visited, and they were like, they just want to tour the house. They could be triathletes or not, or something like that. And they're like, wow, that's cool. You got a bike set up and everything. And I go, yeah, check this out. I'm on the bike. I want to turn on the fan. And I got the little remote by my hand. I just keep it next to the bike. And I click on the fan, and they're like, whoa, that is cool. And I'm like, I know, dude, it's so rad. It's so awesome. So that's a easy upgrade to your training room, training cave. Okay, now another one is in the world of social media. Posting everything to social media is a huge pain in the ass. And it's annoying, and you're not even really that into it. Like, for example, I don't like Facebook. I think Facebook is a knockoff of MySpace, and it's just annoying and all that stuff. But if you don't post on social media, and let's say you have a business like a podcast or a coaching business, it appears like you haven't done anything. So it's that big joke. I was posting my pictures of me paddleboarding the other day, and this guy that was with me was like, what are you doing? And I go, that joke, like if you didn't post it on social media, it's like it didn't exist. He's like, yeah. And I go, unfortunately, that's kind of true, because my social media profile is because of what I do, it needs to have lots of these things on it. So I'm missing an opportunity to promote myself. Now, if I don't post, the picture and stuff from it. Now, a lot of us are not in that situation. We're just, like a regular Joe job. We're not trying to post anything on social media and stuff. So this doesn't really apply to you. But if you need to post stuff to social media for whatever reason, you got sponsors or something, or you just want to keep everybody connected, there is, and also you want to upload your training. I have found out 2 different things. Let's do social media first, and then how to post all your training stuff. You can set your social media posts to auto post to other things. So you only have to post in one place. And if you rank them and you do them in the order of one posting to the other, based on what's most important to you, then you can actually have things show up on one thing and not the other, and it really works well. So the way I've got it ranked is I have Instagram. So Instagram automatically posts to Twitter. And then I have Twitter, so it automatically posts to Facebook. And it's really funny because people go, you post on Facebook all the time. And I go, no, I don't. I never post on Facebook. What I post on Twitter or what I post on Instagram goes to Facebook, right? And the reason is that I have it working is Instagram is like the least content full, particular, like full of information. It's just a pretty picture, right? So if I post to that, then posting both to Twitter and to Facebook is useful, right? Because Twitter and Facebook are good for whatever you post to Instagram as well. All right, so I took a picture of me running with my dogs yesterday on Instagram. Well, it's nice that I just posted to Instagram, and then the settings in Instagram automatically posted it to Twitter. And my settings in Twitter are anything that gets posted to Twitter automatically gets posted to Facebook, right? So this one picture, just because I posted it to Instagram, gets posted to Twitter and Facebook. Okay. And because Instagram's usually just like a sentence. It's a picture and a sentence, right? Nice day running with my dogs. And the next thing is, let's say I don't want to post a picture. I want to post a link to the stats board to Ultraman that's after day 2, the leader stats. Right? So that's just a link. And that I will post to Twitter. And because Twitter, my Twitter feed automatically posts to Facebook, it also gets posted to Facebook. And that's because this is just a comment on something and a link. And now it doesn't go the other way. I don't have Twitter posting to Instagram because that would be stupid, because it's not a picture. It's only, a link and some comments. And on rare occasion, I'll post a picture to Twitter, but usually I've learned to do pictures to Instagram. And then that link gets posted to Facebook. And so now it's on Twitter and Facebook, all with just one post. Now, the other way is if I post, I'm in this Boy Scout troop and we have a closed Facebook group, I'll go post on that Facebook group, hey, we got a meeting tonight and bring this and bring that. And this is the agenda, right? It's because parents and family stuff and social groups bigger groups are like big and using Facebook. So it just goes to Facebook. That's it. See how all that works? So top down is, but least important to most important is least content to most content. Because on Facebook, you can write like freaking paragraphs of stuff if you want. And that's what I do. I post the agenda, and we have a kid that's a scribe, and he posts his notes and stuff like that. I post this huge content directly to Facebook, and then it doesn't go backwards up to Twitter or backwards up to Instagram. I'm a big fan of Angela Nath, but she's got hers set to, she posts on Facebook, then it posts up to Twitter. And I follow her on Twitter, and like, I see this tweet, and this is with a lot of people. You're like, oh, a tweet, and then it's got see more because it's longer, and then it's this huge like paragraphs of stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to read all that. I'll read anything Angela posts, but I'm saying with other people. But I'm just like, ugh. So you want to go top down. All right, now let's see. Uploading your workouts. You want everything to be really simple. Most of us. Those of you that don't have to deal with this, oh my God. First, back in the days, wrote everything on paper. Then it was, once things were computerized, you had to hook up your watch to your computer, download from your watch to your computer as a file, then upload your file to your software, your website, or whatever. Then it got a little bit better where it was connect your watch to a computer, and then it'll upload from your computer automatically, not as a file that you have to import or upload, but it would just automatically, a little piece of software would send it, it's called like a servlet, would send it up to the website. And then now we're at the point where your watch through Bluetooth it's usually to your phone, but connects to your phone. And then when you finish a workout, it transfers over to your phone. Your phone uploads it over your cellular network even, maybe Wi-Fi, but anyway, wirelessly up to your training platform of choice. So the way to order that, there's a smart way to do it, is, let's say you're using Garmin. You have it upload to Garmin Connect. Then what you do is you connect Garmin Connect to Training Peaks. Right? Because Training Peaks is your best training platform out there. So all your workouts, and it's better than Garmin Connect. So way better. And you can see that your workouts get uploaded to Training Peaks. Then you also have your workouts, and it doesn't really matter which one you connect it to Garmin Connect or to Training Peaks, but then you have one of those connect to Strava. And so it goes watch to Garmin Connect to Training Peaks, and then Strava, or then at the same time Strava. But you see how that tree works from the top down? And then what'll happen is all your stuff is posted everywhere, and you can hop on the platform that you want to go check it out. Okay, now back to the because Strava is like the least important. That's like a social thing, and then the middle ground. The most important is to get it to Garmin Connect so that you can get it to the middleware, which would be Training Peaks, which is your training log, so your coach can see it or you can see it. Now back to the training room. You have. Let me make sure I'm recording. Hold on. Right, Joel? Yeah. You have next to your bike set up a box, a milk crate, or something like that, full of headbands, handkerchiefs. You can go to a sporting goods store and get just tons of handkerchiefs, but headbands, and because you can tie handkerchiefs kind of like a headband around your head, and wristbands. And what I found is I go through about one every half an hour. Wristbands about once every hour, but headbands once every half hour. And what I do is if I'm going to go for a 2-hour ride on my trainer, then I have next to me a pile of a 2-hour ride that's 4 headbands. And then as you sweat one up, you just drop it on the ground. You have a rubber mat under your bike. Drop it on the ground, pick up a fresh headband. Wipe off your head and face before you put on another headband. And then you won't get sweat in your eyes anymore, and you won't be dripping sweat off your nose all over your bike frame, which ruins your frame. And if you wear wristbands, and you look totally like 1970s, 1980s basketball star while you're doing this stuff. You can even get NBA looking red, white, and blue wristbands. The wristbands, if you need to use a computer or your phone, this keeps sweat off of those devices and keeps that from messing them up. That is really cool. Some of my most hilarious headbands are Emily and Kai did a Color Up 5K where they throw paint powder balls or something at you, so you get covered in powder. Yay! And anyway, they got headbands from doing it. It says Color Up 5K. And I like wearing theirs, and they get mad at me. They're like, "You did not do the Color Up 5K." And I say, "I'm still wearing your headband. What are you going to do about it?" And they're like, "Well, I'm going to take it off your head." And I'm like, "Go ahead." And then they touch it, and they're like, "Oh, it's all gross. It's all sweaty." I'm like, "Haha." Anyway, so that's how to keep sweat off your bike. There's a bike bikini thing. That's a thing that goes over your bike frame too. Another one I talked about in the last episode is before you do a race, get a copy of the hill profile, see how bad the hills are, and then in training, practice doing those exact hills. Estimate, that's a 3-minute hill, that's a 10-minute hill, whatever it is, and practice doing those hills on the treadmill and on the bike so that you're used to them and you can do them and pace yourself. Knowing what they feel like will lead to you actually pacing yourself on the much, much smarter, and then having a better race on race day. Let's see. Back into the training room, have a big jug of water that's dedicated for long rides. And what you can do is you just fill up that big jug of water, and then while you're on the bike, or I guess you can stop the treadmill, but you don't need to do this big deal of refilling water bottles and stuff when you get off the equipment. You can just reach over and grab this big jug. If you're on the bike, you can just sit up and refill your water bottles or a water bottle with water. If you fill that jug with ice, think about that. You have nice cold water, but a dedicated big jug of water, and write something on it. I've learned years ago to write stuff on your stuff, and it's funny and it makes training a whole lot more fun. Sometimes I write Tenacious B. Or Big Daddy B or something like that on my stuff. And Emily and Kai go, "What is this?" And I go, "That's my jug." And they're like, "What?" And I go, "I can write anything I want on it because it's mine and it's funny and it keeps me motivated." And that's part of it, right? It's just keeping things fun and silly. And every time you see that you wrote that on there, you're like, "Oh my God, it's so ridiculous." Okay, another one to remember is don't pick up a sponsorship from somebody unless you really, really like the thing, because you've kind of dove in to buddying up with them, and then it makes you look like crap to quit. And so your ego will keep you from wanting to quit, even though there's better equipment or food or whatever you got going on. So you'll stick with something, and it's your life and it's your training, and some other wheel or fuel or something like that comes up, and you're now what do they call that? A supporter, lifestyle blogger or something like that, whatever they call it, over some base salt or something like that. Well, now you're attached to them, and you won't want to quit because that makes you look like a quitter, even though you really should quit because you found that you're like, this stuff doesn't work for you, whatever it is, a power meter, I don't know. But it is so much better to be a free agent and be able to pick the equipment that works for you, even though you had to pay for it. The fact that you paid for it means you can turn around and sell it and buy something better with minimal hassle and admit that you were wrong or be okay with changing with no looking bad in front of other people and other people going, oh, last week you liked this, right? So just be careful of that. Don't pick up sponsorships unless you are really, 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 really into the product, really into it, or really need it, I guess, and then be willing to drop that sponsorship as fast as you can. And let's see. Another one is, and if you have to go get the sponsorship, then that means they're not as much into you as you are into them, and that will be a one-way relationship where they won't give you anywhere near as much stuff as you want. A lot of times you have to pay to be part of this thing, and that's just not cool. If they come to you and want to support you, they are into you. They found you, and they like you. So Amrita bars, for example, Salt Stick, like all these companies that I get sponsored by now, they came to me, and it's awesome because they're a big fan of me. So everything I do, they like already. I don't have to worry about pleasing them. I'm already doing what they like. And so that just allows you to be more of yourself. Okay, last one, and then we're going to take a break, is set up your training life so everything is easy. Any kind of training is super easy. This takes time. So you just slowly, incrementally work that way. When you pick a new place to live, pick a place that's more convenient, has running trails. I'm talking like it's that slow of a change. When, you're looking for stuff for Christmas, start saving up for a bike trainer. Make a choice. Get that bike trainer instead of, some other thing that is not, I don't know, that's a fleeting. And over time, you can set up your training life, your environment, so that pretty much any kind of swimming, biking, running, and like, for example, weightlifting, which we talked about earlier in the show, is just moments away. And then what you can do is do what you feel like doing next. And you learn to do what you feel like doing next based on how sore you are or tired you are mostly how sore you are in a muscle group, right? My legs are really, really sore right now. So I should go for either a very easy bike ride or swim. Well, guess what? Those are both super easy to do because my bike is one room over. I got to walk across the living room, and then I could get on my bike and just pedal easy. Swimming is less than a mile away. I can go swim, right? And also, it's like putting healthy food in the fridge, it's like all that stuff is, at first, this seems crazy. Well, not crazy, but just impossibly difficult. But over the years, these are choices that you make that slowly add up. And then what happens is you can train the muscles or the body part, the system that needs training now. And everything should be like, honestly, it should be like 2 days apart, 48 hours or 24 hours, whatever. If you run hard on Wednesday, you shouldn't run hard again, and at least until like Friday, right? You should have a day's gap for you to recover and do the next thing. If you're doing stuff really easy or really soft, that's okay. But like I said, where I hurt my arm and also had a tattoo, and I couldn't swim much. Well, that just had me pretty much doing all lower body stuff without being able to take a break and do upper body stuff, and that damaged me like really bad. So you want to have everything super, super convenient. And it even goes down to like where one big thing is you should have your house organized so that you can get your triathlon stuff. You got to talk to your partner, your spouse, or yourself, and tell them how important triathlon is to you, and you'll be less frustrated and less grumpy and throwing stuff around the house early in the morning if you can find where your running shoes are immediately, and all your running stuff is together, and all your biking stuff is together, and all your swimming stuff is together. So all you got to do is just walk over and go open up a drawer or whatever, and you can just get your stuff and go without having to reassemble everything every time. And for example, I keep a swim bag in my car. I bought an Xterra on purpose because it has the roof rack that's perforated, so I can keep my swim gear up there, and I swim, and then I put my swimsuit and my goggles and my cap up in there and my towel up in there. And then 2 days later when I go swim again, it's dry. And it's with my car, which is, if I'm at the gym, I also have my car with me. So like I never forget my swimsuit or my goggles or my swim cap or my towel because it's always in my car, because my car is the storage unit for that stuff. So it's little decisions like that start adding up, and start engineering your life, keep engineering your life so that all these little things are super easy, because God, the hardest part about working out is getting started. And if all your stuff is already together and you know where it is, then you can get that stuff, you can get going with minimal effort, and that's huge. Okay, let's take a break, and we will come back with, what did I say? We're gonna do the run stuff next? Okay, hold on. All right, let's take a break for a second and talk about Amrita bars and Salt Stick. What should we do first? I think Amrita bars, but first let me tell you where I'm at. I'm in the parking lot of Gold's Gym, and I pulled up to start recording. Got everything nice and quiet because the car is an awesome recording studio. When it's not moving, it's actually good. It's a good sound booth. And then I heard this radio jamming, and so I was like, oh man, I need to move. And then I moved my car, to the other side of the parking lot, and then it was worse. I ended up pulling up closer to the car with the meathead like jamming out, getting ready to lift. Yeah. But anyway, I was running all this week, and especially this weekend with my big double back-to-back run days, 13.1 miles on Saturday, 13.5 on Sunday, wearing my Amrita bars visor, and that made me want to mention them first. They have really, really cool kit. It's like black with this rainbow kind of color scheme to it. Looks super cool. So you got to check out their stuff just for the kit. But that's not even what they make. They make health bars. Amrita bars are date-based with seeds. So if you have a nut allergy, it helps out with that. And they are gluten-free and all that good stuff. But they are a whole food bar. So you really shouldn't eat stuff unless you can name all the ingredients, and unless the ingredient list is pretty short. And almost always Amrita bars are like 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients. Really, really, really good stuff. And they have cardamom in them, which helps soothe the stomach. And they were invented by a cyclist. And the way I really like Amrita bars is they come in different styles of packaging and stuff. But the bar itself, you can open the end of the bar and then put it in the leg of your cycling jersey or in your jersey pocket, and then pull it out and take a bite of the bar and put it back. And it goes down smooth. They're chewy. Instead of, oh man, you ever eat a bar or something like that that's powdery dry, like a granola bar that's actually crispy, and then you're riding your bike, and then you get a mouthful of dust in your throat, and then you start hacking and coughing, and people are like, what's wrong? And then you're like, you can't tell them because you're choking, And then but you're fine, but you're just choking. And then they're like, what's wrong? And then you can't tell them. And then they're like, dude, is something wrong? And you're like, just leave me alone, man. I'm fine. But you can't say that you're fine because you're choking. Anyway, you can avoid all that with Amrita bars. This is best promo ever. You can avoid all that with Amrita bars because they're soft and chewy and they're portable. And they also have this thing that's like pouches. And then there's some bars that are actually, I know like Cliff bars are like this. They get really hard when they get cold. Well, Amrita bars don't. So if you got winter coming up and it's cold, then you can take Amrita bars with you. And they're, super, super chewy and just yum, man. They are really, really good. And they're a longtime sponsor of ZenTri. I've actually been trail running with Arshad, who's the founder and owner of Amrita bars. And I've been on the box, I think. And yeah, that's like the Wheaties box for triathlon. It's really cool. So check them out. We have a discount code of Zen that gets you 15% off. So go to their website, Amrita bars. It's Amrita Health Foods. AmritaHealthFoods.com. But anyway, just Google Amrita bars and go to their website and check them out. It's AMRITA, Amrita, and check them out and get yourself some bars, okay? Now, the second sponsor we would need to mention right now is Salt Stick. So I make a lot of my own nutrition to save money. I just got off a coaching call with somebody, and I was telling them how to make your own sports fuel because you can save a ton of money. I just figured one out that is huge. I'm going to keep to myself for a little bit and make sure I got it nailed down before I share it with everybody. But oh my gosh, this one's so great. But it needs more salt. It needs more electrolytes. So one company has electrolytes nailed down, and that is Salt Stick. And it's because Salt Stick takes what you sweat out. They did analysis on sweat, and they've got the ratios of what comes out. So not only you don't just have sodium coming out, you have potassium and magnesium and all this other stuff. So they take the ratios of that, and Salt Stick is actually those minerals. And they put them into a capsule, and they also have chewables, which have like a citrus flavor, which are really, really good. But anyway, I take those capsules and I break them apart, and because they're capsules and it's powder inside, it's really, really easy. And I add it to my own fuel. So I'm getting, because, you could do sea salt or Himalayan pink salt, all this fancy salts, but you're still missing this other stuff that you actually need is critical. And Salt Stick has it. So you can make your own fuel and get the electrolytes correct by adding Salt Stick capsules to your stuff. And then, of course, they're capsules, and they have like this really slick twist dispenser, which you can punch out another capsule. And a lot of people zip tie that to their bike, which is pretty cool. And then you can dispense a capsule as needed. It's kind of neat. And you see lots of video and race picture footage of top-end pros with a Salt Stick container zip tied to their handlebars so they can pop off another Salt Stick as needed. So if you want to get some Salt Stick and get your electrolyte balance nailed down, you can go to their website, saltstick.com, but then add a / and ZenTri, and that takes you to our page. They made a page just for us. Isn't that cool? And you can get a box that pops up. You will get a box that pops up, and it says, hey, you can't come in here. What is your secret password to get in? And I'm about to tell you the password. I'm going to whisper it to you so that nobody else can hear, okay? Because this is just for us. You ready? Here we go. The password is... Y'all remember that in... what was it, Cable Guy? The password is nipple. Anyway, the password is ZenTri. That's right. The password is us. You are we. We are it. It is us. It is ZenTri. So you just type in ZenTri. Bam! Opens up, and I think it's 10% off. And you can order. Buy a whole bunch of your Salt Stick capsules. Go ahead and get it over with. Just buy it all. And then You'll always have it in your pantry. You won't be like, well, I don't want to use all. I only got a little bit left. No, man. It's just electrolytes. It's not that crazy expensive. Just buy a whole bunch of it. And then you've got it all in your pantry. And then you can use it as needed without ever worrying about it. Okay? All right. Whew. That's it. Let's get back to the podcast. And I'm going to go into the gym and knock out a swim. All right, here we go. All right, we are leaving the pool real quick. It's going to be super quick because it's a 4.5 minute drive to my house. So I thought I would record my initial impressions of swimming and living so close to the pool. Let me get myself in here. So what I did, I got there. There's only 2 lanes in this pool, and I get there, and each lane has a person in it. So I'm kind of like, crap. So I go in and sit down for a second, and I need to change the settings on my watch anyway. I wanted to show what time of day it was. So I was changing that screen. And then I look at the guy in one of the lanes, and he looks familiar. And then I realize it's my buddy Rich that I used to swim with at, at 2 different pools in town over the years. Just throwing everything in the backseat of my car here. And he goes, hey, you want to split a lane? And I was like, yeah. And see, this is the value of community and friendship. And we start swimming, and it wasn't that bad. But I have, it's just a different setting that I don't, it's 46 degrees, by the way. But getting all hot in the pool. It wasn't that hot, though. But just getting a good workout in. Walking out to your car when it's hot or when it's cold actually feels pretty good. Anyway, let's see, what time is it? 6:59, leaving the pool. So it took me 20 minutes to get out and to the car, which I'll talk about in a second. And you're like, what? It's because you're really inefficient the first time you do anything. You got to give yourself some slack, and you're going to get faster over time. And that's why I cut my swim 10 minutes early, because I'm like, I marked what time I left my house. I left my house at 5:25, and then now I'm leaving the gym at 7. I finished swimming at 6:40. Yeah. So I have all these markers of time, and then I'm giving myself slack because I'm going to get more efficient. And I've got this beep timer on my watch, and it's set for my really fast pace, my inspirational pace in a yard pool. And I'm swimming along, and like I am sucking, like cannot hit that timer at all after warm up and like getting going and everything. Usually after a while I start hitting that beep. And so after a while I kind of give up on that. And after 20 minutes, I start doing intervals, 100 yards hard every 10 minutes, like almost sprint. Kind of like build a sprint. Start off kind of hard, and then it gets harder and harder and harder, and by the end you're dying. And on the second one, Rich was sitting at the wall, and so I'm also making a note of traffic. Traffic's not bad. Traffic's actually really light. Sun's coming up. He was at the wall, and I said, hey, is this pool a yard pool or a meter pool? And he goes, I think it's a meter pool. And I was like, oh, thank God. He goes, oh, did you think you were going like super slow and you're ruined or something? And I go, yeah. Plus it's a 2-lane pool, so it's got more chop. The more lanes you have, the lane ropes kind of soften the blow of the water against the wall. If you're swimming in a lane right next to a wall, it's always worse. It's choppier, it's slower. But I consider that, you got to reframe that. Zen is always reframing. And I'm like, that's it's good training for triathlon, to be experienced with chop and not have everything all perfect all the time, because it ain't going to be perfect out in open water. And then, let's see, I cut my swim 10 minutes early. And instead of swimming an hour, I swim for 50 minutes. Hopped in the hot tub for a second. And then, here's an example. Like I get out and, I don't have a locker yet for a locker. So I'm carrying all this stuff, which takes all this extra time. I can't find anything because I got 2 bags. And then there's a shower by the pool with a curtain on it. So I rinse off in there. And then I get inside the locker room and I'm like, this is a way better place to shower in here. And everything's just way more efficient, is going to be way more efficient after a few more swims, and I kind of nailed down a system. But this is my first experience with coming home after swimming. And now it's 7:03. What time is that again? 7? I'm almost on my street. Oh, this is great. So I didn't get any big bike rides this weekend, but I ran more than I've run in a long time. And I did double long runs. So it's dangerous to increase something too much, all lower body. So now I was like, it's okay, because I need to give my legs a little bit of break. And all the extra running is not going to help things on the bike. Plus, I didn't feel like it. Plus, I've weightlifted, which is extra, 2 times or 3 times over the past 3 days. Just little stuff, just 20 minutes here and there. And also I found out that there's another Gold's closer by my work. It's like 2 minutes from my work. And so I could go lift there at lunch, like I used to a long time ago. Where my podcast all got started, on the bike room at Gold's over there. Yeah, now it's 7:04 and I'm pulling in my driveway. So 4 or 5 minute drive. How about that, folks? That's pretty cool. All right, that's it. I'll be back in just a second. All right, we are back. So it's super cool coming home. Let me turn the AC here. It's super cool coming home and walking in the door, and Kai's sitting there eating breakfast, and we got to talk for a minute about his day and what he's going to do. So my life for years now has been swimming 3 days a week before work, and then leaving right from the pool to go to work. And I'm not saying I'm not going to go back to doing that, because now I'm kind of stuck in traffic that I would miss if I just went from the pool straight to work. But I know if I went to the pool, straight to work from this pool, then I would, my commute would be a lot shorter. I would save time, as opposed to this other pool that's way on the other side of town. Anyway, I got home and I was like, what do I do with myself? Sometimes I ask myself, what are you going to do with yourself? And self says, huh? But anyway, I said, well, the smart thing, I started making a green tea. And then I said, well, actually, a smart thing to do right now, because you got plenty of time, would be to make a real breakfast. So I did scrambled eggs with hemp powder and some mixed cheese, and hemp powder to get your leafy greens and fiber mixed in, because everything else I'm about to mention has no fiber in it. A little bit of avocado oil, and I say hemp powder and cheese, and then fresh pico salsa in it at the end, which I'll tell you about. So you in a coffee mug, ceramic coffee mug. Oh, Jesus! Huge traffic jam. Oh man, what in the holy hell? Well, I guess we're gonna be talking for a minute. I don't think it matters which one I get on. It looks all about the same. Anyway. Oh, God. I've lived in this town forever, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and traffic's getting worse and worse and worse. Where did I leave off? Oh, in a coffee mug, you pour in a little bit of avocado oil. Why is avocado oil good? It's because avocado oil is healthier even than olive oil. It's got the healthy stuff that olive oil has in it, plus some more. And it's olive oil, by the way, is really bad to fry in because it's got a low flash point, and olive oil should be eaten kind of fresh and not really cooked with so much. Because it's got a low flash point, that means it kind of burns a little bit at lower temperatures, very low temperatures, and then that burnt olive oil is actually burnt stuff is carcinogenic, and the avocado oil is more like peanut oil, it may be even more than peanut oil, has a very high flash point and does not want to burn until like 400 degrees. So avocado oil is very safe to cook high temperatures at. And plus it's better for you than olive oil. So first you put the avocado oil in the coffee mug, and that helps to keep the eggs from sticking so bad to the coffee mug for what you're about to do next, which is crack 2 eggs into the coffee mug. You could add a little bit of water too. Scramble it with a spoon in the coffee mug. Just stir it like you're stirring coffee really hard. And then you can add other things if you want, but I wouldn't. Maybe like the sprinkled cheese in there. And then put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And then it'll be partially cooked. And then what you do is you stir it and then put it back in for another 30 to 40 seconds. It depends on your microwave. Stir it real good and put it back in, and then watch it towards the end of that 30 seconds, that second 30 or 40 seconds, and you'll notice it starts creating like a muffin top towards the top of the mug, and when it starts trying to come over the top of the mug, that's when it's done. And take your spoon and stir it up a little bit more to break it apart, and it cooks like scrambled egg loaf. I mean, it is awesome, and it tastes great. It's fast. It's wonderful. And then, what do you do? It's gonna be really hot. If you want to eat it right now, see, this is smart. This is one of your triathlon hacks. Now your salsa that you got on the side that's cold out of the fridge, you put the salsa on the eggs now, and that helps cool it down so that you just stir it up a little bit, and then now you can start eating it. Isn't that cool? Pretty cool, eh? Okay, so I was like, man, now I can actually have a nice real breakfast with before I go off to work, because usually I go to work and after half an hour to an hour I'm starving and I need to eat something, and I have like a healthy TV dinner, because there are very healthy TV dinners, but I'm having to take away from work time and stuff to do that. It's okay, but it doesn't look all that great to be sitting there eating at work breakfast. Should have ate breakfast at home. And but I just do it real quick or eat at my desk. I don't really care. But then what was the other thing? Check in with Emily. We've got this oven that melted down, and so I was talking with her about organizing the next few days, and we've got Boy Scouts tonight, so talking with her about, it's really her talking at me and me going, oh, okay, but the schedule with Boy Scouts and what's going on, and the meeting tonight. And also before I left the gym, I asked at the front desk, Gold's is a big network of gyms, and I said, hey, can I use my Gold's membership at the gym closer into town? I work by this other Gold's. Can I use my membership there? And he goes, oh yeah. And I was like, oh yes. So did I already mention that? So I can go lift at lunch. But anyway, I also had time to sit down and look at, traffic is, dude, it's like a freaking parking lot. Hold on, I'm going to text somebody that I'm going to be late, and that would be smarter to do right now. Hold on. All right, I'm back. God, you gotta love modern technology. That's cool. The thing I was able to do, because I had time at home. Oh, here comes a motorcycle cop coming up on the right-hand side. There he goes. Yeah, this must be a fresh accident with, it is a freaking standstill. The thing I was able to do was Ultraman finished up yesterday, and our buddy Rob Gray, he won by just 10 minutes or something like that. But anyway, I had time to calculate his his paces, so we have an idea of what it takes to win Ultraman. Are you ready for this? Okay, he did the 10K swim in like 2:38 or something like that. But anyway, that pace is a 127 per 100 yards, or for 2.9 6.2 miles, which is also like a 131 per 100 meters, I think, or maybe 132, right around in there per 100 yards, which is that's really good. That's a back-to-back 1 hour Ironman swim pace for, let's see, 2.4 and 2.4 is 4.8. So for like 2.5 Ironman swims, he did a 1 hour pace. That's decent. That is, that's not crazy fast, right? But that's just solid, right? Okay, and then on the bike ride, okay, that was Emily calling me. She just called. She's like, "Are you stuck in traffic too? What the hell's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm over here." Anyway, his bike ride was like 20.7 or 20.5 miles per hour, which is which I think is slower than he usually does. And maybe that was on purpose. See, he did it last year and didn't win. So maybe he had a different strategy, like to go easier on the bike or something like that. I don't know. But we'll talk to him. Maybe we'll get him on the show. And then, but 20.5 is not crazy fast, but it is a challenging bike ride. So I remember when I did mine, I averaged 19.5 on day 2 and maybe 20 something on day 1. And I made mine pretty challenging on purpose because theirs is challenging too. I wanted mine to be like as much like theirs as I could. And so that seems that's fast, but that seems a little bit less than his potential. Like maybe he was holding back, or maybe the conditions just sucked. I don't know. But then the whopper is day 3, the double marathon. He averaged an 8-minute mile flat, or right around there. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly, but 8.0. That is impressive. That's really impressive that he was able to run that pace after all this for that long. Now, is that super fast? No, because at Kona, whatever, the top guys are running, 7, 6, 6.5 minute mile pace. So what you'll notice, my whole point is, what you notice is everything is slower. You just got, it's that thing that the really good guys say, you don't have to be crazy fast. You just got to get kind of pretty fast and be able to hold it and just not slow down. You need to have your easy, your fat burning cruising speed and your durability up there at medium fast, and be able to do it all day long. And then you can do the long endurance stuff. Isn't that pretty cool? I think that's it. So if I wasn't stuck in a traffic jam, then I would say I got off to work right on time as usual. This is a little bit unusual with this monster traffic jam. And but our town's small enough that if there's a traffic jam like this, everybody knew about it. So at work, I can be like, yeah, I was just stuck there. And then half my bosses and stuff would be like, and coworkers would be like, yeah, I was stuck in that thing too. So whatever, it's no big deal. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm going to go back to drinking some green tea and listening to the 5 a.m. Miracle and then podcast, and then the what's the other podcast? It's the Productivity Podcast, I think is what it's called, or something. But it's by Asian Efficiency, which is pretty funny because there's only like one Asian guy left in the whole company. They just called it that. And anyway, it's some good shows. All right, I'll let y'all go. Be back in a little bit. Out, bang. All right, we are back. I'm leaving the pool. And we're going to talk about running, but I'm leaving the pool because my swim was crazy fast this morning. And I was like, I don't think this is a meter pool, because it was too fast overall. So I went and measured the pool. And the gym, don't ever trust what people say about how long a pool is unless you know for sure, because it's hard to tell sometimes. And the pool is advertised, maybe not on Gold's corporate media website, but on some other discussions and stuff like that, and just comments on the internet. Oh, it's a 25 meter pool, it's so great. No, it's not. It's a 25 yard pool. So I swam, like 4,400 yards in an hour, not 4,800 yards or whatever it was, which would have given me a 53-minute Ironman swim. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the tool I use to measure it. You want to measure a pool? 1 is a tape measure. 2 is a rolling wheel. 3, if you want to have some fun and you got a newer phone that has AR in it, artificial reality, augmented reality in it, I downloaded a free app called AR Measure, and it's a tape measure that works in virtual augmented reality. I tapped it on one end of the pool and then slowly walked to the other end of the pool, and it lays down a virtual reality tape measure across the side of the pool as you're walking along. And then another thing I did, and it came up to 75 feet, which is 25 yards. And then the next thing I did was I saw the pool had tiles on it, these big tiles. So I measured one of those, and it was 2 feet. And then I walked and counted them, and there was 37 of them, and then a bit of another one that was on each end that was chopped off. So 37 times 2, 74, plus a little bit more, 75. So anyway, don't trust other people's measurements all the time. Trust but verify, right? It's a management principle. Anyway, I want to talk about running right off the top of my head. I've got a list actually in my phone. We'll get to it in a second. But let's do bloody nipples and chafing. A great way to prevent bloody nipples and chafing in other areas is to make sure that whatever you're wearing is tight, so it doesn't gap against the skin and then create a new swoosh of resistance every time, a new chafe, and then super silky, almost silky smooth. So I discovered this with Under Armour heat gear. When I started doing long distance running, I found that I could wear Under Armour heat gear, and other people talk about their nipples bleeding and everything, and I'm like, nope. I guess you could wear a bra. But I was like, no, I don't see that a bra. That is really weird. And then I figured out it was the material. What happens is people are wearing, you're wearing a technical fabric, like a t-shirt you got from a race or something like that. And if it's not silky, then it actually has little fine edges in it. Like if it's mesh, it has little fine edges in it. And especially if it's not tight, then those little edges that are almost microscopic, they're just tiny, will start cutting into you and give you problems. So I've run 50 to 100 miles in Under Armour heat gear and no chafing whatsoever for the shirt, under the arms, anything. I've done Ironmans in those. It is fantastic stuff. It's really, 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 really good. Go check it out. Okay, next is this new running shoe material called TPU. And unfortunately, all these running shoe companies have come up with their own stupid name for this stuff, but it is magnificent. TPU, thermoplastic urethane, is super cushiony, right? And it doesn't wear out. It takes like 10 times. It eventually wears out, I guess, but it takes like 10 times as long to wear out as a regular running shoe. So Adidas came up with it first. It's called Boost, B-O-O-S-T, Adidas Boost. And it's just outstanding. If you want something with a low heel. Oh, the other thing that's so great about it is that it reduces the stack height, and that means it takes less height, less volume of the material for it to give you cushion, so they can make your shoe height a little bit thinner. And people know that if your shoe elevates you up off the ground, the more it elevates you up off the ground, the more risk you have of twisting or breaking an ankle, for example, or just falling down if you catch an edge, or if you tip over. That taller height acts as a lever, and when you start to go over, it levers your ankle against your body and then cracks it, and also makes you unstable. So it's like walking around in platform shoes. The more you can get lower to the ground and less like platform shoes, the better you can be, and this TPU material allows that. So Hokas are famous, right? Because they've got all this cushioning, but their downside is they're tall, and you have to kind of learn to run in them, and you're still running a risk of tipping over and breaking something, right? It's unstable to be up on little tiny stilts. And this TPU gives you all the cushion of Hokas, plus very much lower stack height, so the stability of much lower running shoes, plus they give you the durability of like 4 pairs of shoes. So yeah, they cost 20% more, but they last 200% longer, so you can keep the same shoes, or 400% longer, 500% longer, so you can keep wearing the same shoes a long time. And the other thing, you may not notice this until I tell you, because I didn't even think about it, but cold weather makes regular running shoe foam hard, and you run in cold, all of a sudden you're running on planks, wooden planks, and TPU does not act that way. It remains cushy in all temps, below freezing and all that stuff. So you can prevent injuries, have a better run, all kinds of stuff, save money eventually on the long run. Get it? Long run with TPU. Okay, so like I said, Adidas was the first with Adidas Boost. And a shoe that's a competitor to Hoka is Ultra, Altra, and they have the Ultra. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Ultra Ego Escalante. That's what it is. Escalante, which is a great. People are raving about it because it has like a very low profile, no lift on the heel, and is also this TPU material. You got to check it out. I think that might be. Oh, and they have a wide front toe box so it doesn't pinch your toes. Those are apparently like these awesome shoes. I just tried Face ID on my phone and it didn't like me. Come on. I know you know how to do it. And let's go back to our notes because we got more. Calf raises is another one. And squats. So Rob Gray just finished winning Ultraman Hawaii, and I asked him how sore he was, and he said extremely sore. And by the way, his calves are killing him. And Rob did something that the real high-end guys tend not to do, which is a mistake because it really does work, is he did the run walk right from the beginning. And so I think he walked a minute every mile or something like that. But he averaged an 8-minute mile. But what it does is allow you to run faster when you actually do run anyway. So you make up for it. And plus you save your legs. But his calves are killing him. And something I found is when you go to the gym, and I'm going to talk about another gym exercise that'll help your swimming big time when we hit swimming. But when you hit the gym, do calf raises. There's a machine where you can get under your shoulders, and then you get up on your toes, sort of, and you let your heels sink, and then lift your calves, lift your entire body, pushing against with your toes, and that strengthens your calves, and it's amazing, and it's like the easiest machine to do, and it feels awesome. Like, it feels really, really good, and you'll be shocked at how strong your calves already are, and doing calf raises will actually help you a ton. And it's calf raises when you run uphill that calf raises will help you. You'll notice if you run uphill a lot that your calves start to burn, and it'll help that. And actually it helps biking too, because you'll notice that really, really fast runners, like Kenyans, for example, they have almost no calves. So it's like, you don't really need your calves that much for running and to run fast and light. But you'll notice that cyclists tend to have evenly distributed muscle all the way down to their calves. And it's because you kind of push off with your calves a little bit. Use your calves more in biking than you think. So it actually helps your biking as well. And one last tip before I leave you, and then we'll come back in a minute, is visors. The underestimated visor. A visor is so friendly, and it's kind of like the signature look of Ironman triathletes. Is unfortunately, what are those things called? Those calf sock things, support socks that come up to your knee. I've worn them though; they work a little bit. But a visor, and it's because this isn't. There's a few of us out there. Unfortunately, we don't have a. We've got bald spots, so you kind of need to watch out for the sun. So then, wear a regular hat. But if you don't fall in that camp, wear a visor, because one, it allows heat to release off the top of your head, and then two, you can dribble water directly on top of your head while running, and you go through an aid station and grab water, and you can pour it over your head, and it really, really does work. Now, there is a group of people that are fortunate enough to have found a hat and have a small enough head where they can, as they go through an aid station, pour ice in their hat and then put their hat on their head. And that's another strategy that really works. My head is too big for me to find a hat that has enough room left in the top where I can actually do that and then put the hat on my head and have it stay in place. So I don't really fall in that camp, and I really can't, back up that tip and say 100% that works. But I heard Lance Armstrong was doing that when he started doing triathlons again, and that it really works. And a whole bunch of other people do that. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. I've got to go back into W to the ERK and test some computers. Test a tablet. I got a Microsoft Surface, a new one that we've got to do some work on. All right, out, bang. All right, we are back, and let's see, we have on this little section 3 more good running tips. Another great running tip is, you ever notice that when you run downhill a lot, Boston Marathon is famous for this, these races that have a lot of hills, and especially net downhill, long stuff, it starts hurting so bad on your quads that you actually don't even want to run downhill because of the pain. That is from eccentric loading, which is like if you jump off of a height and then as you land, you try to stop yourself. Well, that loads up your quads, almost like you're pushing. You kind of have to push down so that you don't slam, so you don't crush, flatten into the ground, right? So you got to push the ground away from you as you land. Well, it's such a harsh hit every single time that it starts to hurt. And you go long and this starts to build up. And the next thing you know, the only thing you want to do is if it's easier to go uphill, it feels better to go uphill than downhill because the pain is so bad. Well, what's really cool is you can fix this pretty quickly in just a few runs. And I got this advice from Ian Sharman, who's one of the top ultra runners in the world. He holds lots of records for 100-mile races and stuff like that. The fastest 100-miler. He ran 100 miles at like almost a 7-minute mile pace in the woods. It only takes a few runs of running down steep downhills where you make that hurt. So if you live near a mountain, run down a mountain fast. Run down hard so that it hurts when you're done. You do that 2-3 times, separate times, like a few days apart or like once a week or something like that, before your race. So let's say you've got Ironman Canada coming up, and it's a hilly race, right? And it's got some downhills on it. Your legs are already sore from all the biking. So those downhills on that run, 26 miles, can start to add up and hurt. Go out as part of your training plan the last few weeks before the race. Make sure that your running has some big downhills in it where you run down stuff hard so that it slams your quads. And then you don't have to do it a lot, you don't have to do it frequently, you just need to do it a few times before your race, and that seems to just eliminate that problem. It's not something you really need to train. You just need, like train a lot to get good at it. You just need to train it a few times before your race, and that pretty much eliminates it, so it's not a problem anymore on race day. And I think that's why like big mountain runners come to flatland stuff and it just doesn't bother them at all, because they've been doing that eccentric loading. It's just part of their training whenever they run downhill. So my own training, my route that I like to run has a nice downhill at the very end for about half a mile on pavement. And on purpose, I run that thing fast, and I run it a little sloppy on purpose so it slams my quads. In anticipation that I'm going to be doing a race where that'll help. Okay, next is, we talked about SkinSake a little bit before, but here's another one that SkinSake or whatever, this one can be any kind of like petroleum jelly or something like that, is you probably have known hot spots in your feet. Mine are my arches, tend to rub and get raw if I go a long time. Or if you're planning on running a race and you usually train in socks and you know that going sockless that you might have a little bit of a problem, put lube in your shoes before the race. So let's say next to your bike you got your shoes laid out, and you can do this a day before too. Take petroleum jelly, whatever you want, and put it where your arches, in the arches of your shoes, on the back of the heel, inside of the heel of your shoes, up on the inside where your toes rub against the top of the shoe. Any spot like that where you might get blisters, go ahead and pre-lube your shoes so that when you put them on, there's lube already in there. And then on race day, whenever you go, you've already got lube in there, and it can prevent some stuff and prevent blisters. And I do this actually for that. Even though I'm gonna wear socks in an Ironman, I'll still pre-lube my shoes, and it helps so much because you end up people pouring water all over you. You're pouring water all over yourself, all that sweat and everything. Your shoes just end up chafing, all that stuff. And you don't want to stop, take time to put all that lube in there. Okay, another one is that your run form is faster if your hands are free. So a lot of times I talk about running with a water bottle in your hand, for good practice and stuff like that. An upgrade from that is a running waist belt where you have your hands are free, and it has like clip-on attachments for your water and or fuel. So my favorite is Amphipod. Makes a bunch of running belts. And I like the one where I can clip on 2 10-ounce bottles. And The belt's semi-stretchable, and it's Velcro. And gotta make sure my lane's clear over here. And more than 2 bottles seems to be too much. The belt gets too heavy, things start bouncing too much. But 2 10-ounce bottles on your waist. Now when you're running, you've got water, fuel, whatever it is for your race right there. And now your hand's free, so you can have better running form instead of carrying something in one hand, kind of making you lean over to the side a little bit or twist too much. And also if you fall, you've got your hands ready to go. How about that? That's some cool stuff. All right. We will be back with more in just a sec. Gotta make a phone call. Okay, next one is a big one, a big money saver, is that you don't need trail running shoes to trail run most of the time. Street running shoes actually do just fine almost all the time. I think my personal best at the Rocky Raccoon 50 trail run was in Nike Frees, which are very much street running shoes. And not only that, I think it was a rainy day, a cold and rainy day, and I was having to run through ankle deep and higher than ankle, like a foot deep on rare occasion, puddles of water that were just completely soaking my shoes. And then I wouldn't say it was muddy, but it was mud. You might want trail shoes with the lugs and stuff like that on it, but this was dirt. This was trail, so some mud sorta, and just regular old worn out Nike Frees, and they worked great. In fact, they worked so great, I ran the best I ever had, and I've been running that thing a lot. So yeah, you don't need trail shoes for trail running. First, and trail shoes a lot of times are heavy and they're stiff, which doesn't seem to help, because they're made to protect you from they're more like hiking boots. And then they're also you don't really need waterproof trail shoes or running shoes, because what happens is your shoes will actually hold water. And one of the reasons these Nike Frees I had were kind of meshy and loose and light, and water ran out of them as fast as it was running in. And even though it was really, really cold, because you're moving, your feet actually don't seem to get cold. They seem to be just fine. Now, if you stopped, you might have a problem, so just don't stop. A lot of things are fine if you just don't stop. But so I would run through. At first, I was trying to avoid the puddles, and at one point, I was like, "Crap, I'm gonna have to run through this." It was like a trench, and then as I ran through, shoes completely filled with water. But then, almost immediately, my shoes were empty of water, and then my feet never really got cold. And even though it was like 40 degrees or 35 degrees or something like that, and it's because all the water drained out, and I had skin-sake in there, I ended up being just fine. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So don't bother with waterproof shoes, and make sure your shoes have good drainage more than anything. And then also don't bother with trail running shoes until you actually get to the point where you need them. Man, I'm gonna fucking get over. You go around. Just go. And then if you find out your local terrain says, "Hey man, you're not doing so good. You're gonna need some tougher shoes," then go out and get yourself some trail shoes. All right. And then at your running store, ask people that really know what is needed around there. All right. All right, now we are going to cover swimming. So the biggest thing in swimming is overcoming drag. And the way you overcome drag is good swimming technique. So you watch videos on YouTube, watch what other people are doing, video yourself, and watch yourself, get somebody to video you. And iPad is really great. Something with a big screen so you can watch and then stop and slow-mo what you're doing. And then go watch Sun Yang and Phelps and Ian Thorpe, the Torpedo, and watch what they're doing. And then watch yourself and watch what they're doing and then watch yourself. That's the number one way to see what you're doing, because bad technique through a thick medium, a thick fluid like water, really slows you down. And then you want to get over the top and throw your arm over and then turn it into a glide. And then you can kind of coast on that glide a little bit. You don't want to overextend the glide and do that, because then you'll kind of slow down. But you want to get so you're not fighting the water and actually you're sliding through it a little bit more. So another trick is to get on the side of the pool, grab the side of the pool, put your face down in the water, stick your arms out in front of you, and then start kicking to bring your body up. And you'll notice that if you point your toes back, that it doesn't take much kicking at all to get your legs up and to bring you to the top. Now flex your foot so that your toes are coming up towards your chin, and you'll notice that not only do your feet act like daggers, but your heels act like daggers the wrong way. And everything you do, just if you kick like that, brings your legs down so that your whole lower body sinks, and now you got to fight the water. So before every swim, you should practice. If you have this problem, you should practice what it feels like to kick gently and then have your feet come up, your legs come up, so that you can actually slide through the water with just gentle little kicks. And again, if your feet are pointed the wrong way, then everything kicking harder actually makes you slower, much slower. All right, then you want to structure your workouts so that a good portion of your workout, and this is for long distance open water swimming, is just practicing good form. So what I like to do is the first 20 minutes, if you want, is just practicing on nice clean form and learning to slide through the water and working on stuff. And then you want to do workouts that are like bike rides, where you do several minutes, several hundred yards if you want, of hard, like you're climbing a hill, like you're climbing a 3-minute hill or like a 5-minute hill. And you dose yourself with this resistance of going harder, and that will and then you recover from it, right? So it's just like weightlifting, where it's like doing a set of weightlifting. And it's important to go hard enough that you actually need to recover a lot, and then to recover a lot, very, very easy. Even walking across the pool for 25 yards so you can catch your breath, so that you can go hard again on your next interval. And somewhere between 3 to 4 to 5 intervals is really nice, and that will make you stronger. And basically, that's all you need to do for swim workouts. Is it's just like biking. You just go and work on technique and work on fat burning and just cruising along. And then at some point, do some intervals that make you burn and overreach, and then recover from them between each one. And you don't have to do that every swim. It kind of depends on how tired you are and how much energy you got. Then you can do several things for swimming on the weight room floor. One that is really interesting is to go to the lat pull down machine, and that's where it's a bar. You sit down, and pull-ups will kind of do the same thing, but this gives you a little bit more control. And you pull the bar down. Some people pull it down in front of their chin. Some people pull it down behind their neck. You know, they crunch over, pull it down behind their neck. But the trick is you don't want to spread your arms out really wide. you want to spread your arms out only about at most shoulder width apart, and probably even like maybe only a foot apart, kind of like you're pushing off from the wall. And when the weight goes up and you're kind of hanging there, you are stretching out your lats and your arms and your spine into perfect streamlined position. And the more often you do that, hang from a pull-up bar, doing this weight resistance, and start from up there, the more you're stretching out your body to be flat and straight. And if you did your arms really wide, like a lot of these bars are structured, then you're not really getting that stretch at the same time you're getting that pull in. And the other thing is you want to do palms forward like you're climbing up a ladder, not palms towards your face when you're doing these, because palms forward is more like swimming. And also you want to pull the bar down, alternate. You can either do like one set in front of your chin, one set behind your neck, and do like that, or you can do like each rep, like front of your head, behind your head, front of your head, behind your head, in front of your head, behind your head, and then you're kind of working all your muscle groups and all that stuff. Okay, so then another great swim weightlifting workout that is kind of similar, but it's a little bit different, is find a cable pull machine and set it so it's as high up in the air as you can get, and then get under it and away from it and get on one knee and then pull the cable pull down like with one hand, like you're doing a freestyle pull. And when I was showing Kai this, his immediate reaction was to keep his elbow low. This is a lot of people's normal reaction, and pull it down. And I said, no. First thing you do is, and you got to get your head below the line of the cable as if you're streamlined. And you just do one arm at a time. And push down with your palm of your hand and keep your elbow high. And then once the palm of your hand starts getting under your elbow, then pull your elbow to your side and then keep pushing down with your palm. And this mimics the exact motion that you should be doing in swimming. High elbow, push down with your palm, then pull your hand past and under your elbow, and then past your hips. And do that one side, and then when that side is resting to recover after like 8 to 12 reps, then go do the other side. And you do these back and forth, and the next thing you know, you've got crazy strong lats, crazy strong pull. And this was my technique that I was doing, that in the lat pull down, that I was doing to become a state finalist freestyle sprinter just in high school. And then another one is the drag chute. So this drag chute costs $20, something like that. And you can get one online. Finesse makes a really nice one. And you clip this thing around your waist, and as you swim, it creates so much resistance, it's unreal. They make a medium and a large. If you're a big person and you're already a good swimmer, large is fine. And if you get the small one and then you find it's not good, then you can always upgrade to the large without, they're so cheap. But you do sets, just kind of, I was saying, where you do a few minutes with going hard. Well, you can do a few minutes with the drag chute. You do like 100 yards, 200 yards, work your way up to 300 yards. And this drag chute creates so much resistance that you have to pull yourself along, and it builds up your strength. And the whole thing is every time you do something harder than what you need to do, then when you actually do what you need to do, it seems easy, and it increases your cruising speed, which is perfect for a long distance try. All right, I'll be back in just a second. All right, we are back. Okay, a little bit of a news flash here. I just saw on Instagram, but because of Instagram's whatever their most important thing first, feed, instead of chronological. I didn't get a chance to look at the date. Jody Swallow, Jody Kanama, had a baby. She even posted a baby. It's still got blood on it. And a picture of her holding the baby. She looks a little out of it. I wanted to write back, harder than an Ironman, because Emily said that the half Ironman she did was harder than giving birth. And Emily was in labor for like 5-6 days, almost a week, off and on. And so you never know. Depends on the person, I guess. And so that's our little news flash. Okay, to wrap up swimming, I got things jostling around in my car here. To wrap up swimming, the last two major things are, I guess, wetsuits and goggles, like your equipment out there. Speed suits, I don't know, you just kind of whatever. They save a ton of time, but also it's super fast or super expensive, and then you get kind of torn up with those things. Anyway, or those things can get torn up and you lost it. And the thing about wetsuits is they're hard to get the right fit. So a few years ago, I came across something really cool, and I wish I had it for my Lake Tahoe swim, but I didn't yet. Is the DeSoto wetsuit. So a DeSoto wetsuit comes in two pieces. There's a top, and then the bottom just looks like overalls, and then the bottom part. And then what this allows you to do is not worry so much about the fit. It's going to fit more likely than before. And then they are kind of expensive compared to some other wetsuits, but what I have is by the time you do this one option, it's cheaper. And I have a long sleeve top and I have a vest top. So now I have two wetsuits for the price of like 1.5. And then I can wear the same bottoms and overall thing. It's all one unit, that thing. And then have and just switch out the top based on how cold the water is. And I also, the thing is because they're separate, they don't pull up on your crotch so much. And if you're tall, a DeSoto wetsuit is a must, because I have somewhere in storage an Xterra one piece, or no, 2XU one piece. That is, both that and I have an Xterra. I have a 2XU sleeved one piece, and I have an Xterra one piece sleeveless. And both of them, because I'm tall, the shoulders pull up on the crotch, and the crotch makes it pulling into your junk, makes it feel like you're doing the entire swim like you're riding crossways on a split rail fence. You almost like see cross-eyed because of the tension of it pulling up on your crotch. And the DeSoto wetsuits don't do that because there is no connection between the top and the crotch, so it's not pulling up. It's pretty cool. It's really, really smart. And then also you get better shoulder rotation and all that other stuff. But the other thing I wanted to say is, when you're doing wetsuit swims, I mean, your arms are getting a ton of movement. You're working out your arms, so they get hotter because those are the muscles that are getting the work anyway. So over the years, my threshold for what it takes to wear a full sleeved wetsuit has gone way down, or way colder. Because I know they say that sleeved is faster no matter what. I honestly don't believe it. I think it makes you have to use your arms more to move that extra rubber around. And sleeveless is faster. And on all my races, the times I've worn sleeveless, I've always been faster. My last Ironman was a 59 minute, like a 59 flat or something like that, 59 minute Ironman, sleeveless DeSoto. And it was fantastic. It was in a cold lake up in Canada. And it was great. So it feels cold on your arms at first, but your arms don't contain your lungs or your liver or your stomach. So if your arms get cold, big freaking whoop, it doesn't really matter that much. Next is goggle choices. So one, always bring back up goggles. Two, what color goggles? Over the years, again, I have decided to just go with clear goggles as my choice, because if you're not sure what's going to happen on race morning, and you never really are, clear is your safest bet. Because if it's glary, you can just squint. But if it's overcast, dark, foggy, and you have any kind of tint on your goggles whatsoever, it's going to be harder to see the buoys. And so I've learned over time just to go with clear. I use Caimans, Aquasphere Caimans, because they're soft silicone, and they tend to fit pretty good. And good goggles are really not that expensive. It's like the one thing in triathlon that's not overpriced. I guess because you can use them. You're basically using swim goggles anyway. And then on the goggles, the other thing is, if you get clear goggles, or whatever color lenses you get, also try to get goggles where the frames around the lenses is transparent as well. Because in open water swimming, you got people all around you, and the more you can see in your periphery, the better. And so you don't want things over your eyes like sockets, so that you can only see straight ahead through little tunnels. Even though you can't really see through the frame so much, you still see light and dark and shapes. And that will inform you that there is somebody coming up next to you and about to hit you faster than if you didn't have these little transparent goggles things on the side. All right. That's it. All right, that is it for the 50 tips. I started off with like 40, 45, but as I was going, I thought of a few things. So we're going to round it up to 50. The 50 different tips that I've learned over all these years for swim, bike, and run. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show with our list of show donors and sponsors, and we can wrap this baby up. All right, hold on. All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and do our show donations. So you can help support Zen and the Art of Triathlon two different ways. One is to go to zentriathlon.com, and on the left-hand side, there are links, PayPal links, to help support the show with donations. So you can do a one-time donation. That's very, very cool. Any amount you want. And another way is you can do a recurring donation once a month. And I've got it set to, I think it's $3.99. So it's like $1 or $2 per episode. And that is another great way to support the show. And if you donate, I read your name on the air. And here we go. The last batch of donors includes M. Webb, Spiros Fetsis, Joseph Dieber, Tyler Moyer, Rick Foster, Curtis Fossen, Dwayne Morin, Derek Riddell, I think he's new, Brett Hoyer. What is up, Brett? The coolest first name in triathlon. Michael Radogna, Daniel Clemens, Karen Jackson, Simon Wright, Pablo Cacho, and William Smith, Justice Phillips. I'm walking around the house right now. I'm moving to another room with a little bit less echo. William Smith, Justice Phillips, Jonathan Woodman. By the way, Justice, what a cool first name. Second coolest name in triathlon. Oh, man. John Mulan, Katie Joe, James Godek, Hans Henrik Madsen. Where are you from, Hans? That sounds like Denmark or something. Peter Salzen, Matthew Heinz, Michael Wilkinson, and Allison Frutos, and Matthew Froese. And what's really cool, Earlier in the episode, I think I talked about I was messing around with some computer testing and stuff. I'm on a, I don't know who makes, HP makes this one, but it's like a Microsoft Surface. It's a tablet. It's one of these laptops where the keyboard breaks off, and then you can turn the remaining screen into a tablet mode and turn on its end and everything, and it's touch screen. And oh my gosh, man, I'm coming from a MacBook Air, which is non-touch screen. No Macs are touch screen yet, and this is so great. I've messed with these before. We use them for work. And now I've got one here in my hands, and I'm scrolling through this list by touching the screen. Oh, it's so good. It's just so nice. Okay, then let's see. Another way to help support the show is Hornet Juice. Hornet Juice is a super duper long-time sponsor of the show. And what it is it's an amino acid, so a protein powder mix that you add to your fuel, which is great because I've been trying to teach you guys and gals out there to make your own fuel to save money. And then maybe do like store-bought during a race or something like that. But in general, make your own fuel to save money. And one way to add protein to it is, because I'm always talking about maltodextrin, which is carbs, and then more carbs. You could do MCT oil or something. Still, that's not protein. You want to add protein to it, then Hornet Juice is perfect because it is it's an amino acid that is specially formulated to turn on fat burning. It's a ratio of certain amino acids to each other, and it's the ratio and the amino acids that they picked that has been found to greatly boost fat burning. And the stuff is awesome. It makes you feel like you're running on a diesel engine. You don't feel hyped up like you're on caffeine, but you just notice when you go on longer workouts that you can just keep going and going and going at a higher level than you were before. Feeling really, really good. So anyway, you can get that on the right side of ZenTriathlon. When you scroll down and look through some of our sponsors, you can see a link. It's like purple and yellow, and it's for Hornet Juice. And then you click on that, and you can get either a 10-pack or a 20-pack of Hornet Juice. And doing so, a little tiny bit comes off the top back to ZenTri from them, and you get an email from me that says howdy. And I wrote it myself. I figured I'd put a little touch of Texas on there. And it says, howdy, you just ordered some Hornet Juice. It's on its way. Now, it does take a few extra days because it comes from New Zealand, so you just got to be a little bit patient. But it's fun. It's cool. It's kind of a novelty item that actually does work. It's really, really neat. I get replies from people all the time. They're like, holy crap, this stuff really does work. It's absolutely amazing. Yes, it does work. All right, so let's see. I think we need to wrap up the show and get this one out there. Just a comment on plantar fasciitis training and healing. I've been, that there's so much to the psychology of sport, and you got to be training for something you really want to do, or else training becomes torture. And why am I doing this? It's not fun anymore. And if you pay attention, if you do the Zen thing and just pay attention to how things make you feel, you can steer your life to having a much better life. So many of us, we just go through life without paying attention, and we just think we have to do things. But no, if you pay attention, you can notice not how things make you feel, but ideas make you feel, and how that can change your life. So I was running, and I was like, started thinking about the Rocky Raccoon. It's a trail run. It comes in there's a 50K, which is like 32 miles. And then there's a 50 miler and then a 100 miler. And my feet seem to be, they're progressing fantastically. They're not 100% healed, but they are getting so much better. And while I was running, I was kind of like, I'm running the same old route. Da, 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 da. And then I started thinking about, what if I sign up to do the Rocky Raccoon, and it's 3 loops of like 18 miles to do the 50 miler. I sign up, it's $100, it's $95 right now. And then what happens if I go and sign up, and then, because it's loops, if at least do one loop, it'd be worth $100 just to do one loop, to be out in the woods and be with the scene and all that stuff and have a lot of fun. And it's like a victory lap that my feet are healing and I'm back on track. And as soon as I started thinking about that, my attitude and my mood towards my run completely changed. Now my run had a purpose it was like fun. So the next hills, I was like, ooh, yeah, I need to run up these a little bit harder because I'm training for something. I hadn't signed up for anything, right? But I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I've got a goal, I've got a target. And you could just, something that you want to do, And then, because I'm running on the street, and the Rocky Raccoon is, it's a trail run, so you can trip and fall and all kinds of good stuff. I was like, historically, what I've always done is run more on the curbs, and if I'm running over like medians that have grass in them and stuff like that, I'll run over those. I gotta be a little bit careful because it was dark. But I started doing that. I started running on the edges of things and running up over things. And it felt great. And I noticed, like I'm so inspired and I so want to do something that now it's changing my behavior, and I'm excited about I'm now running completely differently, running because what you need to do is like challenge your ankles for the twists and turns of rocks and roots and stuff like that. So, and I will go do more real trail running. We've got a new trail running facility that's a park that's open near here. That's perfect. But my point is while I'm running on the street, I still do more challenging technical stuff, because I'm excited. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to train for that. Then I started thinking, oh, I could get out the weight vest and start running with that. And then I was like, calm down, Brett. You aren't healed. You're not healed yet. So, and if I do it, it's still two months away. So we'll see, and my long run now is only 12 miles. So if I increase like half a mile to a mile per week, then I'll be up to like 18, and I could do one loop of the thing and be happy, maybe more, who knows. But anyway, that's been my experience with just in the past couple days of the psychology of training. And the reason I'm passing this on to you is look for that in yourself. When I was training for Ironman Canada, I was so excited, because we're going to go to Canada, and it's like, what am I going to, I had this puzzle to figure out, this big mountain to try to climb on the bike. And then there was like a long flat section, and I knew how to go train for that because we have a section around here that's like super flat that I could go train on. And when I was training for the Ultra Baby, my self-supported Ultraman, I was like so excited, because I was planning the course and trying to make the course super technical or super as hilly as I could possibly find around here. And the all these little things were making it challenging. And if you want to continue doing triathlon as a lifetime sport, which you can do, you need to make sure that you don't do too much, and you don't start signing up for races just because they exist and you're just doing them just because. Find things that motivate you, and then all of a sudden it's just a completely different sport. It's a beautiful sport that you're in love with, and it all has to do with picking races or making your own races, events, whatever, that you find you can tell. You're just like, it's like if you were shopping for cars or something, and you're like, no, oh yeah. I want that, like that's a cool car. I want to save up some money for that. And then you start saving, right? And it's exciting. You can imagine yourself in it. It's the same thing. A good race, a race that you're perfect for, would be like that. And there's a lot of different combinations, It's the location, it's the convenience is cool. Another thing I can think of is, the distance can be something that you really want to do. Another one, so like the Rocky Raccoon, it's back to trail running, it's back to a long distance. And then another factor would be the people that are there. Like you're excited about meeting some people and the social aspect of it and all that stuff. All right, next episode I haven't really decided on yet. I'm sure we'll cover some training psychology and some gear as always. I've got somebody that's relatively new triathlete that went from doing no triathlons to an Ironman, I think in like 2 years. And we might interview him, living in San Diego. We just got a whole bunch of different stuff, which would be really cool. All right. Everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.